5 years gone, they're still rewinding, frame by frame like it's a crime. Turn my worst day to a highlight reel, hit replay, waste their time. Counting wars in crooked halos, typing sermons in my name. Got their perfect little pitchforks out, but they fold under the same flame. Lighten up already, how long you gonna drag this dead horse round? You ain't that holy, you just like the way that anger sounds. Yeah, I messed up heavy, owned it, bled it, took it on the chin. Lighten up already, or log off and let me live again. Screenshots stacked like scripture, they quote me like I never grew. Skip the part where I said I was wrong, guess that doesn't fit their view. Saints in search of something ugly, so they never look inside. Funny how the loudest judges got the most they wanna hide. Lighten up already, how long you gonna drag this dead horse round? You ain't that holy, you just like the way that anger sounds. Yeah, I messed up heavy, owned it, bled it, took it on the chin. Lighten up already, or log off and let me live again. You want a villain? I'll play it while you polish up your pride. Just remember, when you pour it, there are 3 fingers at your side. I'm done begging for your mercy, done performing for your grace. You can stay stuck in that moment, I'm already in a better place. Lighten up already, how long you gonna drag this dead horse round? You ain't that holy, you just like the way that anger sounds. Yeah, I messed up heavy, owned it, bled it, took it on the chin. Lighten up already, if you can't forgive that, don't do that. Lighten up already, hit unsubscribe and call it quits. Lighten up already, you're not perfect, you just forget it. She hit upload, thought it was done. Bad take, bad joke, bad judgment call. Pulled it down, said she was wrong. Typed I'm sorry till her fingers stall. Screenshot saved like some holy scroll. You quote that line like it's carved in stone. 5 years on, you're still throwing stones like she broke your house, stole your phone. 5 years still mad, what's that say about you? You act like she crashed your whole life too. She owned it on Sunday, what more can she do? You're not perfect, get off your throne. Stop judging her like she burned your home. 5 years still mad, that's on you. You play saint in the comment threads, halo on, pitchfork by your bed. Every flaw that you've ever had, you paint on her like it's all she is. If apologies don't mean a thing, what's the point of growing then? You want blood, you don't want truth, you want someone to stand in for you. 5 years still mad, what's that say about you? You act like she shattered vows you never knew. She faced it, replaced it, learned something new. You're not perfect, get off your throne. Stop judging her like she wrecked your home. 5 years still mad, that's on you. 5 years. You messed up too. Yeah, you know it. You know it. Yeah, you know it. You lied. You're still mad, what's that say about you? Turn that mirror, let it hit you too. She owned it, you hide it. Tell me what is true. You're not perfect, drop that stone. Stop judging her just to dodge your own. 5 years still mad, that's on you. She did her time in the spotlight, shame. You'll do yours if you play this game. We all fall, we all misstep, let it go. Forget, forget. 5 years move on. 5 years move on. 5 years move on. Stay stuck in that song. Back then, I was filming in a bedroom. Bad jokes, thought I had it all figured out. 5 years, feels like 5 different lifetimes. Scroll back, you can freeze me in my doubt. You got screenshots, you got timestamps, you got something you can throw back in my face. But you missed out on the late nights, all the hard talks, how I tried to change. I was wrong, I was young, but I'm not the kid you're dragging through the mud again. Tell me why it's one strike, never forgiven. You were loud, you were proud, saying we believed in growing up and giving grace. We used to stand for something, now it's just rage and empty space. No one is perfect, so why is it only me you never let escape? You cheer for the ones who do the same thing, same mess, but you call it just a learning curve. Say growth till it's someone that you don't like. Guess lines always move for who you wanna serve. Where's the mercy? Where's the nuance? Where's the person under every single frame? You preach progress till it's risky, then it's pitchforks and a trending tag of shame. I was wrong, I was young, but I'm not the kid you're dragging through the mud again. Tell me why it's one strike, never forgiven. You were loud, you were proud, saying we believed in growing up and giving grace. We used to stand for something, now it's just rage and empty space. No one is perfect, so why is it only me you never let escape? If I say I'm sorry, is it ever enough? Or do you need a villain more than you need trust? If we burn each other, who's gonna be left here? What happened to the courage to face what we all fear? Oh, we all get it wrong. Oh, we all don't belong. Sometimes I was wrong, I was young, but I'm not the kid you're dragging through the mud again. Tell me why it's one strike.
Hey, hey. What's up? All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Or should I get closer? Let me know if you guys can hear me. I don't know. My mic was like super loud and I didn't even realize it was that loud because like I normally talk loud to begin with. So, yeah, I'm running both streams on cell phone and vertical and on computer. So some of you guys that are in mobile, I don't know, I guess you can't hear other people, you can't see all the comments or whatever. But there's a couple things I want to talk about before we get into Nancy. And I think it's important to lay this out. Won't take long, but there's a couple things I need to address because I don't think people truly understand where I was coming from, where my head is at, and some things that if you weren't around back then, you don't know. You shouldn't really have an opinion on it if you don't know. So, Tragedy Pimp Exposed made a video that the title of it, and I didn't listen to it. I didn't need to. I mean, it's my own voice. But the title was Laura something, perplex something is going after someone in Nonsense's chat or for talking about her in Nonsense's chat. And I really need to straighten this out. This has nothing to do with Nonsense's chat other than this is where this person is popping up now. This is a 5-year history of this person just constantly coming at me, being in all my haters' chats. I mean, people think that people are obsessed with Britney. No, this goes way back. Diane, she probably remembers. This goes way back to like 2019. This person has never liked me, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I don't have a problem if people don't like me. Someone said in the comments, like, oh, I hate her voice. Okay. I laughed. I said, like, I care. I don't care if someone doesn't like me. But if you don't like someone, why are you coming at them for 5 years? Why are you always in a chat where someone is talking about them? This isn't something like new with Nonsense. This is 5 fucking years already. 50 months. Holy shit, D. I didn't realize it was that long. Damn. Talk about an OG. D's an OG. And I just don't understand why they cannot stop talking about me. And I guess the people like that they normally go into chats with, I guess they haven't been talking about me. I don't know because I don't watch any of them. But I'm kind of thinking that's why they're over in Nonsense bringing me up every day. Because again, Nonsense would not think about me if this person didn't bring me up. I don't think about Nonsense. So again, like I said earlier, it was very strange to me that all of a sudden Nonsense is mentioning me in every fucking live she does. Now, I don't watch chats, so I don't know what was happening in the chat. And I got my first sign of this the other day when I said, is this CK Wahala, whatever? I knew it was them. And everyone said, yep, that's who it is. Gee, what a shock. This morning, I was up. I happened to turn on Nonsense. She was on, and I hear my name again. And sure enough, it's connected back to this CK Wahala. And again, Nonsense would not even be thinking of me if not for this person who has to bring me up in every fucking chat. And I guess Nonsense is the only one that gives them any whatchamacallit, any clout at all or any recognition. because I don't believe I've ever seen them pay for anything. But let's go back. 2020, 2019, 2021. I had CPS called on me 5 times. I had glitter bombs sent to my house. I had a tons of shit that happened to me. I don't know who made all the calls. Maybe it was them. Maybe they were one of the calls. I have no idea. I don't know why they can't stop talking about me. Again, you don't have to like me. There's a lot of people I don't like. I don't give them one thought in my head. But I live completely rent-free in this person's head. And I don't know if they're trying to. They were even on Burgundy Blue's comments for a while. And Burgundy Blue is like, why are you here? Like, it's all you want to do is talk about Laura. It's fucking weird. And it's 5 years now. Going on, no, actually, I'm wrong. It's more like 7 years. Because, yeah, it's 7 years. This person has been talking about me for 7 years. CPS call was 5 years ago. Imagine if Clue and Cletus are still talking about Brittany in 7 years. 7 fucking years. Oh my God. That's a long time to still talk about someone that you allegedly don't like. Think about that for a second. 7 years. Holy shit. I was thinking 5, but no, we're in 2026. So you might be thinking, or I don't know if they're trying to get me off of YouTube or get me out of the community, whatever the situation. Let me put it like this. Due to whistleblowers and outing what I said, outing what I did in 2021, my channel has tanked. But what I still have is some really diehard supporters and good supporters and supporters that understand, yeah, I made a mistake back then. Everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But when I needed my community, they were there for me. When CPS was called 5 times, they were there for me. When I was diagnosed with cancer, they were there for me. People came out of the woodwork who I didn't even know. Like I didn't, wasn't friendly with anymore to support me. When Brad died, and this is not in chronological order, when Brad died, my community was there for me. Now, I do have an outside life and outside friends. But YouTube has been such a huge part of my life for the last 7 years, watching my kids grow up. And I've built this community on blood, sweat, and tears. I started a business through YouTube, not through YouTube, but you guys know what I mean. My first, customers were my subscribers, and I just kept building and building. But if someone asks, "Oh, why don't you leave?" or trying to get me out of here, even if my circle stays small and I never get to the goals that I want to get at, even if I don't get there, I have built a community, inner community. I say inner because I'm still part of a larger community, but I have built an inner community that's very special to me, and I know I'm very special to them. And in this craziness of people changing and people masks falling and people finding out that their favorite creator is a phony and all this other stuff, my true supporters and my supporters that have been with me forever don't need to worry about that, because in 7 years, I haven't changed. I did a little. Obviously, you grow up and, you change for the better. But nobody's worried about a mask falling off from me. Like, I made a major mistake. I moved on. Everybody's moved on. Well, people that matter have moved on. So they know what they see is what they get. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. Have I made mistakes? Fuck, who hasn't? And I never claimed to be perfect. I never claimed to be, Miss Perfect Righteous Laura. No, I fuck up a lot and I make a lot of mistakes and I own those mistakes. But like I said, the one thing that my community never has to worry about is some masks falling or me being, somebody that they never thought possible and they're going to find out some shady shit. No, people like D have been with me for 50 months. And nothing is going to change. Nobody's going to find out anything. And what happened over the years, people had to lie. There's a lot of lies spread about me. And, someone said, oh, go check out the videos on her. No, because a lot of those videos are clips. They're little tiny clips without the whole context. Now, again, as I've said before, can I be a fucking asshole? Hell yeah, I can. Do I go low? Yeah, I have. Will I go lower than someone that maybe came at me? Yeah, I will. And I've owned that. For years, I've owned that. That's nothing new. Some people want to act like, this shit's new. It's not new. I am me. And I've said it for years. Love me or hate me, I'm always going to be me. I don't expect everyone to like me. I don't expect everyone to accept me. But you're never going to find a phony when you see me. You're never going to find a phony or a liar or all the other shit that all these people are. I look like a fucking angel compared to this community now. So what happened earlier was this is 7 years of this person nonstop attacking. Not like the idiot, the person that said, oh, well, I don't like a voice. Oh, well, I don't care about shit like that. I don't care about the mindless, oh, I don't like her, or she's a CPS caller. I don't care about all that. Dude, that's your problem. I'm not giving you any fucking space in my head. There's somebody, which was my post late last night, who, from what I saw, I finally got around to totally block their post so I don't even see it, who makes a post every night about, what I talked about or what I said. Like, dude, I don't fucking watch you. I don't care. I just don't fucking care what you have to say. So now I figured out that I can even block their community posts, and now I don't ever have to see it. But I don't even read it. That's what happened years ago, 2020. Patreons were like, just ignore it. Just ignore it. Well, I didn't know how to ignore it then. I was kind of like Brittany. I was making money and I didn't know how to ignore it. Well, in my old age, at 2026, well, it actually started 2025, I finally learned after all these years, ignore it. Who gives a fuck what these people think of you? They're not doing anything for you, so who cares? And it took me a long time to get there. It took me, 5, 6 years to finally get to the point that it doesn't matter if someone doesn't like me. It doesn't matter if someone talks shit about me. That's not why I lost my shit earlier. I lost my shit earlier because this is 7 years. There is not a person in this community that would put up with the shit I've put up with for 7 years. None of these people can take someone talking about them for 6 months. Then you have all the people that strike. Oh, you talk shit about me? I'm going to strike your channel. I don't strike people. That's why there's so many videos. That's why so many people like to talk, because I'm not going to strike them. And they know I'm going to ignore them. And unlike other creators, I have always told my people, do not stick up for me. Do not go into chats that where there's a bash video. I don't need you to stick up for me. I'm a big girl. I can handle myself. I've always said that. So it's not like I don't have people that get mad or I don't have people that stick up for me. They do. But I have begged people. I don't want to see them become a target. I don't want to see them getting attacked because of me. And you see that often, especially with mods. My mods have been through the ringer over the years. That people went real life on them, threatened them, got videos of them. Like people, I know Clue had made a couple of threats early on, but for the most part, no mods have ever had to go through what mine did. The drama community looked up this fucking bitch, looked up all of my mods' Facebooks, then made a video of all their real pictures. But when I stuck up for my mods and turned around and showed her camera slip, oh my God, the world ended. And it's always been like that. Everybody can do whatever they want, but if I snap back at them, all hell breaks loose. And then I become a horrible person. And a lot of it I've ignored, but a lot of it I'm fed up with. And the fact that I have worked so hard for this channel and people do so much worse than me, get away with it, and nobody says a word and nobody has a problem with it, but a couple of people around here have a target on me, and I'm not even saying CK, but a couple of creators around here have this target on me, made me out to be the worst fucking person in the world, and so many people ran with it. And it still stays that way right now. And it's fucked up. If you want to judge me because you know me. Judge me because, don't judge me based on the bullshit you hear from other people. Because trust me when I tell you, you're wrong. And again, I am not perfect. I am not sitting up here saying I'm perfect. But I can assure you that people you like are far worse than I am. And I just don't appreciate people still, like, I don't have an issue with TPE at all, but her title implies something that it's not. And again, everybody should be looking at this person like, did Laura ever do anything to you? The answer would be no. Has Laura ever made a video about you? The answer would be no. Has anybody done anything to you, Laura? To you, CK. The answer would be no. Has Laura ever hurt you? No. Has Laura ever fucked with your life? No. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So why are you still talking about me every day 7 years later? That's a personal problem with you. That's not a me problem. That is a you problem. And you seriously need to go get help. Yeah, is Laura a tragedy pimp? No. Does Laura do any of the things that these holier than thou creators call people out for? Hard no. I don't do any of this shit. But yet I'm pigeonholed into something from 5 years ago, while other people get a pat on the back for faking cancer. I mean, come on. Yes, people do need therapy. I 100% agree with that. Some are even in therapy, and obviously it's not working too well. But there's excuses made for everyone, but I'm honest and I get slammed for it. And again, you don't have to like me, but what you can't do is hold shit against me and nobody else. And I just, half these people I've never even interacted with. Do I give my opinion? Absolutely, I give my opinion. Is my opinion always right? No. But maybe. No, seriously. So, what I'm asking is how about we make a video telling CK to shut the fuck up about me? And I have them blocked, so I can't even see them. But I constantly see comments. Constantly. I'm sorry, not constantly see comments. I constantly hear nonsense with my name in her mouth. And I'm asking nonsense. Next time the person brings me up, please just shut it down. Just say, look, we're blocking her name from being talked about in my chat. I would appreciate that. And nonsense, I honestly don't think you would care. Like, no, unless Perplex has something amazing to share, which I most likely don't, but something like that, we're not going to mention her name. Mods, if anyone mentions her name, block them. That's all I'm asking. It's the only way that this person might stop. In other chats they go into, they're going to allow it. They could care less. But nonsense, being that I know that you and I don't even have a history together, we never had a friendship, we never had anything. I never liked you, you never liked me. It is what it is. But I'm asking you honestly, can we just not have my name in your chat by this person? If someone else wants to bring it up in a positive light, negative light, doesn't matter. But I kind of need your help with this because it's 7 years. Imagine if you're still talking about Britney in 7 years. Think about that for a second. 7 years. That's insane. Literally fucking insane. So I'm asking for your help here because 7 years bringing me up every day, that's a little scary. I've been thinking about this all day. That's a bit scary. And if someone can't see it, I don't know how you can't. Think about how old your kids were 7 years ago. That's a long time. It is disturbing. And I don't even know what I did to piss this person off to begin with. But enough is enough. Move on. Because it's people like that it's just going to be never ending. And like, I wasn't friends with nonsense to begin with, but I don't think any other creator would entertain it the way she does, besides, MM and all them. But like Jones and Soup, I don't think any of them would even entertain it. I think they would just ignore the comments. I could be wrong, but I think I would have heard by now. But yeah, I just don't think that they would even entertain this person. But I'm telling all creators, please don't entertain. It's 7 years. It is disturbing and scary. This CK Wahala. And like I said, I thought after the drama community, they were done. I tried talking to them in Burgundy Blues comment section one time, and no, nothing has changed. Now, I don't know if they're troll accounts. I don't know if they have other troll accounts. I have no clue. But I'm at the point, enough is enough. 7 years is enough. And if people can't see why I lost my shit, that's why I lost my shit. And if people can't understand that, I apologize, but I make no apologies about what I said, because at the time I said it, I thought it was 5 years, but it's actually 7 years. And it's just too much already. And I'm allowed to finally kick back and say enough is enough. You know, it's one thing when people talk about, oh, it's YouTube and you can ignore people. And but yeah, you can ignore bullshit. You can ignore a lot of shit. Or you can ignore, people talking. What nonsense doesn't realize, a lot of my subs go into nonsense. There's a lot of people who follow me that also follow nonsense. And one sub they don't want to hear nonsense making her stupid comments about me. They don't want to hear it. Why would they want to hear it? Just like nonsense's subscribers don't want to hear me talk shit about them. I'm sorry, me talk shit about nonsense. They just don't. Because in this fucked up community, we do all share subs. We may not share 20,000 subs, but trust me, we share subs. And there's many people that like me that also like Queen Bee, that like nonsense, that like Clue, that like Granny, and vice versa. And when you start pigeonholing people into, well, you can only like me, you can only, watch me, that's a surefire way to lose subs forever. And it's one thing to give an opinion, but it's another thing to constantly bash. And even with Britney, this whole thing has gotten so divided. Are you going to tell me that so many people who watch Britney don't actually like her? They do. Yeah, there's a lot of hate watchers. Whoop. Sorry, dog kicked it out. Of course, there's a lot of hate watchers, but at the end of the day, if you don't like someone, you're not going to be able to stomach watching them. And the amount of things that these people remember from Britney's streams, you obviously enjoy watching her. Like, I noticed Nonsense the other day was like really aggravated reviewing her. And I'm thinking to myself, then don't watch her. If you're getting this aggravated watching her, why are you watching her? Like, if someone aggravated me that much, it doesn't matter if I like them, hate them, making money off them, I'm not going to watch them. So I really believe that a lot of these hate watchers enjoy Britney, or they wouldn't be watching. Plain and simple. Oh, no, a lot of people talk about Britney. A lot. But it's one thing to give an opinion on a stream. It's one thing to say, like, there's a couple of things I want to say about Britney, like her not having water for a week, but we'll get to that. But the constant bashing, the constant berating when somebody hasn't done anything to you, I don't stand by that, and I wouldn't do that. It's been done to me, but I don't do that. And I don't plan on doing that. So again, 7 years, this person is still stirring up shit when I haven't even done anything to them. Thank you, Gina. I haven't done anything to them. It's not like, me and Queen Bee going at it, where I've said shit about her, she said shit about me, she lies about me, I don't lie about her. That's not what I'm talking. I can handle that. Like, I'm not going to dox Queen Bee because me and her go at it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But this person, I've never even had a conversation with. I've never talked about. I've never gone live. I mean, maybe I did a live on them once or mentioned them in passing, not that a whole live, but maybe like I think one time I did talk about them because again, we were in the exact same position as we are now. And now it's years later and they're still doing the same thing. And I don't fuck with them. So it's a totally different scenario than like I'm fighting with another creator, or because I try not to go after subs. I am dead set against it. I think it's wrong. Subs lives matter. It's why we're here. No channel would survive without subs. So I'm all for subscribers. But then some people are going to take total advantage of that and come at me for 7 years when I've never even gone at them and purposely try to bring my name up to nonsense so nonsense will talk shit. No, enough is enough. It's gone on long enough, and I don't think I'm asking a lot that 7 years later you still can't shut the fuck up about me. Again, go seek help because that's a you problem, not a me problem. So that's what I want to say about that. And lastly, what I want to say to you, CK, is go fuck yourself and leave me the fuck alone. Nobody told you have to like me, but go fuck yourself. Enough is enough, and I've had it. So if anybody has a problem with what I said earlier, and I'm sorry, but I stand by it. I'm not going to continue to have this person come at me 7 years later and me not finally say enough is enough. I've done it this long. I think I'll give myself a fucking pat on the back for going this long without fucking their world up. And that's where I'm at. So that's how I feel. And if someone has a problem with it, I apologize, but I stand by it. And again, nobody would be able to put up with 7 years of this from anybody. We see how fucking weak most of this community is. So that's a big reason why I'm like, yeah, nobody else would fucking put up with it. They don't even put up with someone talking about them for a day, let alone 7 years. So that's what I want to say about that. I also want to give a shout out to my mods, my former mods, my ex mods, my future mods. I really do want to thank you guys, especially the ones, my former mods and the ones that are here now. I know it's not easy modding for me. I know that you get a lot of shit. Oh, you're a mod for Laura, blah, blah, blah. You would think that I was concocting Epstein files in back chat. My Discord's been leaked a shitloads of times. They found nothing exciting since like 2020, 2021. It used to be a hot topic. What's in Laura's Discord? What's in Laura's chats? So nowadays, it's not like that anymore. But I haven't done anything wrong in years, literally years. So I don't know why it's gotten so out of hand recently. I don't know why it's gotten to the point where it feels like this is never going to turn around, and it is going to turn around. It absolutely is. But I do want to thank my mods, past, present, and future, for sticking by me, for being there, especially during the worst of times. And in 2019, 2020, yeah, my mods were as bad as I was. And it is something that I don't think I mean, I truly don't think they I don't even know how to say it. I don't think they realized what a fuck show we were back then, and they were all involved in it. I mean, we were all involved. It wasn't me, it was all of us. And I don't regret anything from then and all the fuck shit we did. I mean, we didn't really do fuck shit, but we kind of did behind the scenes, like no different than what shit's going on now. That I can assure you. But I have mods that have stuck by me through the craziness. Back then, it was even crazier. And I want to thank you guys for being there for me through the years. Subscribers that have been there for me through it all. I just want you to know that I really do appreciate it. And I may not seem like it sometimes, but I really do. I honestly do. And same thing with my mods now. So, and one thing you're not going to find, I'm not ever going to have a mask fall off and you're going to find out I'm a totally different person. No, it's just not going to happen. This is me. Like me or hate me, this is me. Plain and simple. So now that I got that off my chest, hopefully everybody can move on. And CK, please move the fuck on, because I am way over it. And I don't want to do what you're going to push me to do if this shit doesn't stop. And I mean that. And I hate to sound like that, but it's truly how I feel. Just move on. That's all you got to do. Just move on. I don't think it should be that hard. I'm not threatening your life. I'm just saying, move the fuck on before I snap back. So that's that. Now, let's get this party started. No, seriously. I also want to give credit to JLR. Okay. In all fairness, JLR makes me lose brain cells. I know a lot of you guys watch him. I'm totally okay with that. I don't judge you for it. But he's too slow paced for me. But what I will say, I gotta give props where props are due. Go fucking JLR. This man is in the mix of professional reporters. They got cameras, they got crews, they got speakers, they got mics, they got everything. And here's 5'5" JLR walking around in his stupid hat, his stupid media shirt with a cell phone. I don't even know if it's an iPhone. With a cell phone. Walking around aimlessly. Basically recording reporters. And he has, and I looked this up. I looked at a lot of different streams. He has quadruple the amount of supporters in his stream than any of these news channels. That is fucking awesome. It goes to show the power of social media, but more importantly, it goes to show that having a few screws loose and being JLR in today's society. I mean, like, the one thing about I've met JLR. The one thing about JLR, I don't know if he's got screws loose or if he's a narcissist. I don't know. But he really just does not give a fuck. He is like, he's the perfect salesman. Like, he just doesn't care. And that's a great personality trait to have if you're doing boots on the ground. I personally would be nervous. He's not nervous at all. He don't give a fuck. He'll talk to anybody. He'll walk up to anybody. He walks around like he's fucking whatchamacallit, he walks around like he's Vinnie Politan. He does. And you just can't take that away from him. Whether you like him or hate him, the fact that he is able to do that and like hold an audience of 30,000 people by saying, oh yeah, the FBI is around the house. Oh yeah, the FBI is back here, folks. Oh, excuse me, who are you? Oh, you're the neighbor? Did you know her? Like, okay, totally unprofessional. Totally doesn't have a fucking clue what he's doing. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Truth Nation, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. You sent me floating hearts and jewels. I am so sorry I did not see it. And I'm watching from my computer, so I don't see vertical. So I apologize so much. My mods just told me. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Yeah, I can't see it. It doesn't show it on my screen. Even though it shows me the main screen and vertical, it doesn't show GIFs. Let me put the stream on from my cell phone so I can see it. So again, I am so sorry about that. Hold on. So that doesn't happen again. I'm also not watching chat like I normally do. Because then I won't be able to talk as much. All right. So now I have vertical on my phone, so I'll be able to see it. I think. No, it's not even showing me that. It's showing me, I don't know. I don't know what it's showing me. Mods, just let me know if somebody sends anything, please. And make sure you hit the thumbs up. But again, I am so sorry. Thank you for any gifts. Much appreciated. And anybody else want to send some? Please do. But mods, just let me know if somebody sends one, because I may not see it. All right. So I personally can't handle the slow pace of JLR, but there's a reason 30,000 people like it. Like, he's gotten almost 1 million views. I would much rather have JLR footage than, hey, Chrissy, I would much rather have JLR footage than I would Dolly footage. Nothing against Dolly. I don't hate Dolly. But I find that Dolly is a follower and his heart's not in it, where JLR makes you believe, whether he does or not, JLR makes you believe that he is so into this. This is his best case. He's boots on the ground and, you know, he's going to solve it. He's going to be the best reporter out there. Dolly doesn't give me that impression. Dolly just seems like a follower to me who is following in JLR footsteps. Like, Dolly to me is doing it for views. Even though JLR is doing it for views, obviously, JLR doesn't give that impression. JLR, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I might be wrong, JLR is trying to recover from all the fuck shit he's done in his life, which was really, really bad. Like, really bad. 26 months. Woo-hoo! All the fuck shit that he's done in his life. Because of that, he's working really hard, I guess, to be what he always wanted to be, or whatever his reasoning to being a supporter. I mean, to being a reporter, I don't know. But you gotta respect the hustle is basically what I'm saying. I don't hold against him his past because I don't want people doing that to me. So I would be a total fucking hypocrite if I brought up his past from like 15 years ago, even though it's really hard not to. My issues with him are he's just so slow. And he just makes stuff up and causes, headaches. But that's just me. He can be funny. He actually does really good interviews. That's one thing I'll give him credit for. When he does an interview, he really does a good job. But he just needs to he does a lot of fluff. And I guess when you have 30,000 people in there, or usually more. Today was just 30, but I've seen him have 60,000. 60,000 people in there and they want fluff. Yeah, you're going to have fluff. But he does a lot of fluff, and that's just a personal thing with me. I just don't do fluff like that. I get bored really easy. But I think he's proving that what he's doing is working, and working more than all these news stations. And I give him credit for that. I really give him credit for that. I think he's doing an amazing job, and I will not take that away from him. I think he does an amazing job because he's missing some screws and has no fear at all, which is, again, a positive trait if you're going to be a reporter. I don't get the same thing from Dolly. And that's why I haven't watched Dolly's coverage at all on this. It just doesn't feel genuine to me. It feels like Dolly chases the next big story just for numbers. Now, Dolly can be entertaining, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's chasing a scene instead of actually being interested. I mean, we used to say JLR transports because he would go from one place to another like overnight. Where he got the money, who knows? But he would literally be all over the states. Wherever something was happening, JLR was there, first one on the scene. I don't know where he sleeps. I don't know if he has a car. I don't know. But you got to give credit where credit is due. And like I said, he's doing a fucking amazing job. More power to him. So that's what I got to say about that. Yeah, we used to say he teleported because he would literally be like in, like, say, Arizona. He was at the border of Mexico and Texas. Like 3 hours later, he's in Alabama. How the fuck did you get here that fast? You couldn't have drove that fast, and the odds that there was a plane that fast, I find hard to believe that you just jumped on a flight like that. So it's just weird to me. So that's why we say like he teleported. He's got to be time traveling because there's just no way you can get from point A to point B that fast. He'd be like upstate New York in a snowstorm, and then next thing you know, he's down in Mexico. JLR, you were just in upstate New York like 2 hours ago. How the fuck did you get to Mexico already? So yeah, I think he's got a time machine that he just transports. But overall, he's been like the first one on the scene. Now remember, I was friends with Molly when JLR first came on the scene. So JLR had no subscribers when he started. And now look at him. All because he has no shame, no fear, no shame. And again, that's a great quality as a reporter. So let's check in. Is there anything new with the case at all? I had to restart my computer. So I had a couple of things pulled up, but I don't know if anything is going on. All right, so he's still alive. And that's another thing. He's not taking breaks. He is live like 18 hours a day.
Oh my God. Look at this. Bailey from Texas sent a burger. I'm going to eat it, Bailey, just for a second. I won't eat while I'm on camera like that. But oh my goodness, look at this. Holy smokes. Look at this. This is insane.
Damn, that's better than the $20 burger I had today.
Look at this burger. All right, Bailey. This is for you. This is for you, Bailey. Oh my goodness. It is so delicious. Thank you. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to turn the camera around and eat it, Bailey, from Texas. Thank you, Bailey. It's delicious.
You know what I think is funny too? So you have all these reporters with hair people and makeup people, and here's JLR, who looks like Callie Lou from Nickelodeon, and they probably all laugh at him. And meanwhile, his numbers are triple theirs.
Anytime I'm starting to do it when somebody sends me something, I'm starting to eat, at least show them I'm very grateful. This is a fat burger. Look at this burger. Holy smokes. Breaking news. Look at how big this burger is. It's juicy. Look at this thing. It's like a double burger here. Where'd it come from? Where'd it come from? Goodness. Food. Holy smokes.
Yeah, no, I'll be out here tomorrow.
We'll talk soon.
Shout out to the chat.
If anything breaks, I'll shoot you a text. You do the same. Thanks, man. Be safe. Thanks for coming out.
Like, this is like his whole stream. This is all it is. It's so weird.
Is described as a male, approximately 5'9" to 5.
You want to go down and see?
Let's go.
This is a part I was watching earlier, which is where I got the reporters thing from. It was this scene. Watch this. It's pretty wild.
Let's go. Because they're going to go live. They got multiple media outlets here ready to do their lives. Live at the scene. But they're going to do the reports based off everything that has been shared today. And they collectively say, and this has happened, and this happens.
Like, all these professionals, all this equipment, and here's little Callaloo walking around with a cell phone recording them and has 4 times the numbers they have and doesn't have to pay anybody.
Are you required to do a 5 p.m. report too?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Everyone's like clockwork. 5 p.m. 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 Here we go. The 5 p.m. reports. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Everyone on their 5 p.m. 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 It's all 5 p.m. They're all doing their 5 p.m. There's another one down there, 5 p.m. Here he is, 5 p.m. Reporters Row. Wow.
And now one of those news stations have more viewers than he had at that time. They still don't. I don't even think Vinnie Politan has gotten his numbers. Like, nobody's gotten his numbers. So I just find it so, like, go JLR. That's fucking awesome. It's not a stream that I can get into because this is just boring me to tears. But a lot of people like it, obviously.
5 JLR.
That's all it was. It's nothing. I just didn't want them to have a friggin' false lead. You do anything with me, and I will get you. And we have the money to do it. Stop taking a picture of me.
Did you know that was an investigation, ma'am?
No, nothing to do with, no, I didn't. I just wanted to tell him one thing, okay?
Oh, I was just asking a question.
Oh,
Dude, she's yelling at media. She's just yelling at me. What the heck is going on, man? She just walks on a crime scene. Now she's telling people if they film her, she's going to sue. And she's talking about her vehicle or something. That was her vehicle. She's calling them vultures now. She didn't look me in the eye at all, thank God. I don't want to be part of the story here. I'm filming and documenting. Whoa, that's crazy. I told you that. Hey, what did I tell you? The wackadoodles come out of the woodwork. I said.
No, don't. No, just stand there. Where did they go? I don't know. Can you just it's fine. All right, good. Can you get in the side?
In the fuck is this? People are taking pictures? What? This is a missing girl. It's not a celebrity's house. A missing lady. It's not a celebrity's house. This is fucking creepy.
You can't really see the sign because it's so dark. It's dark. Thank you. Thank you. You must follow my
All right, what do you guys think? Share your thoughts in the chat. A group of ladies came, laid flowers. It's like a 1 pound burger.
See, that's what I mean. Like, he's still talking about the burger.
£1. I got drones up in the. They got drones up in the sky. Oh, I gotta get in hold of my drone guy too. To we transfer him so we can get the drone footage from above the sky above me and Tommaso so we can see what's up with that. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna put this in my vehicle. I think we're gonna head over to Annie and Tommaso's before we end the stream and just see what's popping over there. Not over. It's not over.
And that's another thing I'll give him credit for. He is out there 13 hours a day, not complaining at all. Unlike Dolly, when the guy was let out of jail, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And JLR woke up and he was there. A lot of reporters weren't there. JLR was there. Earlier, JLR said Sheriff Nanos blocked key evidence from the FBI. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I don't. How would JLR know?
Comment that came up, popped up from Angela. Thank you. Q8E.
Yeah, I also heard him say something about Kevin Costner put up $100,000 or something. That's not true. So I don't know where he got that from. But I looked that up. That's not true. He's got money now. Trust me when I tell you, the FBI doesn't care. With his history, they don't care to make connections with him. There's people on Twitter that won't even speak about him due to the shit he's done in the past. I can't imagine. Yeah, that's the night, Fred, that's the night that the guy was let out of jail. All right. Nerdy Addict said instead of sending forensic evidence in the Nancy Guthrie investigation to the FBI lab in Quantico, Sheriff Nano submitted it to a private lab here in Florida. The evidence is said to include a glove found at the home. It's slowing down the FBI and they are unhappy. I don't know how they know that. I'm not paying for Twitter. Yeah, I just want to know how Nerdy Addict knows that. Like, anyone can say anything. That doesn't mean it's true. You know what I mean? Like, where's your source in this, Nerdy Addict? I mean, they might be true, but who's to say? We don't know. All right, that's who I'm going to go to next because there's just nothing here. Like, I'll give them credit. I just can't watch them. I find nothing exciting about nothing. You know what I mean? All right.
Tucson, Arizona. It's now day 12 since Nancy Guthrie went missing. Nancy's house is behind me. I kind of just came up here to, there's like, it's so hard to find shade here. So there's like some shade under a tree here. So I figured I would just talk to you guys here and go over all the latest developments of the last 24 hours or so. And it seems like every day sort of starts out slow in the morning and then new things happen and develop, which I guess is a good thing. It shows that there is at least what appears to be progress in the case, or at least, you know, that investigators are working hard. First of all, this morning, a white tent was put up outside of Nancy Guthrie's house, and this kind of came out of nowhere. It appeared to be sheriff's deputies showed up, put this tent up right up against the front door of the house, like very, very close to the front door, so that we couldn't see what was going on. We saw one of the investigators go in with what looked like photographic equipment. But then what was interesting was there, and we zoomed in on this, there was another investigator that went in with what is called a forensic height board, which I had never heard of before, a forensic height board, which has measurements on it. And I am told they would use that to try and figure out the height of the suspect. So basically they would go back and look at the surveillance photos and videos and then use this forensic height board to try to determine how tall the person is. I'm also wondering if they were possibly looking at blood, doing more testing on the blood, how far apart the blood droplets were. Because remember, we went up there and got the video of the blood before when they opened up the crime scene the first time, but it wasn't like a pool of blood, if you guys remember. It was like blood droplets in different places that went from the door all the way out to near the driveway. And we don't know if they were also testing that. And the other thought I had at first when they put the tent up is for the first time there's rain in the forecast tomorrow. So I thought maybe they were just covering that area because rain is coming. But that doesn't appear to be the case because within a couple of hours they took the tent down and they were gone. And the most interesting thing that I noticed was the forensic height board, which again would indicate that they were trying to figure out the height of the person who was seen in the surveillance video. I also want to mention before I get any deeper into what I've seen today from the investigation, Savannah Guthrie did post a new video on her Instagram, and it's just so heartbreaking. It shows just older videos of her mom, Nancy. And again, it just reminds you of the fact that this is a real person, that this is a real family suffering.
Imagine if the FBI put this much energy into every missing person.
and just how loved Nancy is by her family, but also by people in this community here in Tucson. And Nancy and Savannah, you know, I think I've told you guys I get going through right now. So I want to read you the latest update from the Pima County Sheriff's Office that just came out a little while ago. They are saying investigators are requesting all video footage that includes vehicles, vehicle traffic, people, pedestrians, and anything neighbors deem out of the ordinary or important to our investigation from January 1st, 2026 to February 2nd, 2026. So they are looking for any video now going all the way back to January 1st, well before Nancy went missing. An alert was just sent via a Neighbors app to users within a 2-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue. And I'll put the link below, but there's a link where you can submit this video. It says investigators are reviewing all videos submitted by neighbors, including any new ones that come in. So again, they're now going back all the way to January 1st, 2026. So well before Nancy went missing, looking for any video that anybody thinks is unusual, which is interesting. They're trying to see, obviously, if this person has been in the neighborhood before. The other interesting thing is one of the neighbors out here told us that when the detective came to their door looking for Ring video, they specifically asked for video from January 11th between 9 p.m. and midnight. Why they were zeroing in on that specific time, January 11th, between 9 p.m. and midnight, I don't know, but that is clearly a time frame that they are also in.
See, Cinnamon, I don't think she's still alive. I think she's long gone. I know the family's holding out hope, but yeah, I think she's long gone. Unfortunately.
Interested in that they didn't put out publicly, but that is what one of the neighbors told me. Let me go back to the latest release from Pima County Sheriff. The Pima County Sheriff's Department periodically uses the Neighbors app to contact residents with home surveillance cameras. Requests will come from Pima County Sheriff's Department with a blue check mark. So they're sending this alert out within a 2-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's house, which is behind me. So 2 miles all the way around, looking for any new video. They say as more leads come in, detectives and agents will continue to follow up on viable leads throughout the community. You can expect to see a higher presence of law enforcement activity going forward, which we've seen every day. I showed you guys yesterday. I mean, there's dozens of FBI agents out here now searching. They were back in Nancy's yard yesterday, in the side yard. They were searching across the street where the media is set up. And then, of course, they were searching where they found the gloves. It says, in terms of notes, the FBI is handling all aspects related to any reason, notes, or communications involving the Guthrie family. Any inquiries regarding this matter should be directed to the FBI Public Affairs Office. So this is in terms of like ransom notes. TMZ is reporting that they've received another note from the same email they received yesterday, which is someone saying that they know who has Nancy Guthrie, and they're asking for Bitcoin also. Look, I'm skeptical of these notes. They could be real, but the fact that they're being sent to TMZ and, there's obviously people trying to take advantage of the situation. We already saw the one arrest. There's people trying to take advantage of the situation and make money off of all of this. So I don't know. Could they be real? Yes, I'm sure police are looking into it. The FBI is looking into it, but I don't know what I make of these TMZ notes. They're saying there are no press briefings scheduled at this time. Sheriff Nanos is not conducting one-on-one interviews and remains the sole department spokesperson. Should a significant development occur, a press conference will be called and you will be notified via email and our X account. Also, I'm learning, remember we told you yesterday about the glove that was found off of the main road here about 1.5 miles from Nancy's house. It actually is a pair of gloves, I'm told, like two, a set, 2 gloves. And it's a main roadway. That's the other thing. It's not just like a side street like where Nancy lives. It's a main roadway. And it was a search team that found it right along the road. And you're going to hear in my interview in a second with the former SWAT team member and former deputy who's worked in this area in this county for decades. But he's skeptical of these gloves. And I think I am too. I mean, they could be real. They bagged them. They sent them off for testing. They could be connected, But the fact that they were on a main roadway and that they hadn't been spotted for 11 days makes me skeptical. And also that those black gloves are used in so many different ways. I mean, one of the guys that here was telling me, I use those exact gloves for barbecuing. My friend who's a cook said I use them, at the restaurant. Hairdressers use them. Auto mechanics use them. People using chemicals doing work inside houses and construction use them. So And also, would the suspect have just thrown the gloves out on the side of the road, especially on a main highway like that? So I'm skeptical that they're actually going to be connected, but it is possible they were collected, they were bagged, and they're going to be doing testing on them. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Something else interesting, and I've started to, get to know people in local law enforcement here.
Amber, I'm looking through the tweets. I'm not really seeing anything we don't know yet. If you can direct me, I'm already past today.
And been making sources on the ground. And I've been asking, is the local sheriff in charge, or is the FBI now in charge? And I actually asked it at the last press conference, if you guys remember. I asked the sheriff that, and he kind of just beat around the bush and said, it doesn't matter who's actually in charge. We're all working together. But it seems like a legitimate question, because a lot of people have been criticizing the sheriff about the way he handled the investigation, especially in the beginning. And there has to be someone in charge. And I haven't been able to get an answer. But what's interesting is I was talking to some of the people who I've met here in law enforcement, and they were saying that even investigators who are working the case don't know exactly who's in charge, which is somewhat alarming to think about. And there's got to be one of those agencies has to be the lead. I'm guessing it's still the sheriff's office, and that the FBI is still technically assisting, although it seems in many ways the FBI is handling some aspects of this case by themselves. Like, for example, what the sheriff's office put in their latest press release, saying that with the ransom notes, that just goes to the FBI. But I just found it really, really telling that the sources that I've made said even investigators working the case don't know who's actually in charge. And one other thing that's interesting is there's this other Ring camera video that has now surfaced that we've confirmed. We sent it to the sheriff's office, and they responded that they're looking into all videos. And this video is interesting because you see a person with a backpack, and some people have found similarities in the video to the person at Nancy Guthrie's door, although there's no confirmation of that. And that's one of the reasons that we're blurring the face, just because the police aren't saying that. But you see the person with a backpack, they go up to a gate, and it does look suspicious at the least. And again, we reached out to the sheriff's office asking if they are looking into this specific video. And I'm told this from about anywhere from around 5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. And they just responded that they're looking into all videos. So it seems that they are looking into it. So I asked Bob Krieger about this, and I'm going to play for you now my full interview with him. He was a long-time Pima County Sheriff's deputy, and he also was on the SWAT team for a long time. So I asked him about all the latest developments. This is my conversation with Bob. Thank you for talking with me again.
Sure.
First of all,
So as I'm looking through these tweets, it keeps going back to my cover, my thumbnail. Why is TMZ getting letters? TMZ is not even on the scene. They're not there. Is this person a Harvey Levin fan? Why is TMZ getting 3 letters? Why would a media coverage pay this ransom or pay this 1 Bitcoin? Going back to the Epstein. Epstein was just released. All the documents were released recently. Harvey Levin is named as Epstein's good friend. Is that why they're getting letters? Now, let me make this clear so nobody thinks I'm a total whack job. I don't think TMZ has anything to do with this. Like, don't mistake what I'm saying. But why are they targeting TMZ? And why specifically Harvey Levin? Of all the places they could contact. Why a sensationalist news coverage? It's not even like they're covering it 24/7. They're only covering it, like a normal story. Is this something that Harvey is making up to detract from the Epstein files and that he was a great friend of Epstein, according to Epstein? Is that possible? Is it possible that someone in Epstein's camp is writing these letters for Harvey to take it away from Harvey? Thoughts on that? I'm going to still play this, but let me know your thoughts on that.
Oh, we saw this tent go up this morning right outside the front door of Nancy's house, kind of like almost like sealed to the front little entryway.
Okay.
And it was up for a couple of hours. We saw them go in with what looked like maybe photographic equipment, but then also like it looked like almost a chart, like a measurement chart.
Oh, yeah. You didn't see my cover title. Hold on. It's very interesting. I guess you couldn't read the thumbnail. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Let me pull it. Let me find it. I'll play this in a minute.
That they took in there. And then they took the tent down. What do you think is going on here?
It's hard to say. I did not see the tent, so I'm not exactly sure. They could have been using it simply to block light for whatever they might have been doing. They might have been doing some sort of evidence collection as far as scientific goes, blood collection, things like that, looking for any type of biological samples. And the chart could have been, just seeing, simply testing something to see if it comes back positive as blood or some other type of, body fluid or something like that.
Yeah, let me show you a picture because I have
Sure.
a picture. I was wondering with the chart if maybe they're going to try to get us a height to release.
Yeah.
Maybe they can somehow use that use that to try to figure out how tall the suspect was. The door is right behind there, and that's what they put up there.
Yeah. Again, it would just be something. There's a million different reasons, quite honestly, and it could be simply to keep the prying eyes out as well.
For something they were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you surprised that this just randomly popped up? I mean, we're day 12 now?
A little surprised, yes. The fact that they're doing anything still, it's still good because you want to follow up on any lead, but it's unfortunate that it's been 12 days since you had that initial bite of the purest apple you're going to get. There was literally a pizza guy that walked up there yesterday, so there are so many contaminations, chain of custody issues at this point. But it still doesn't matter because you still might get something that's valuable. It never hurts to keep trying.
In terms of people, you mentioned the pizza guy walking up, that got a lot of attention. We were able to go get video of the blood initially just because it was open. People are surprised that it wasn't sealed off just all this time. I mean, you worked at...
Let me tell you, running both cell phone and computer, it's very confusing. Like I go on my back office and it's showing me cell phone, but if I look in StreamYards, it shows me computer. It's very confusing to to track both. So if you're in cell phone, there's only like 4 people watching.
The sheriff's office for so long. Has that been an issue in the past?
It's difficult because it's still a family's house. You get a search warrant and you can keep it for a reasonable amount of time, but we can't keep it forever. And at some point you've exhausted all your investigative leads and tools that you're going to do at the scene. It's not uncommon to have to go back because maybe a day or 2 or 3 days later, you get some new information, some new evidence like, oh, we weren't even looking for something like that. You might have to apply for a new search warrant to get it amended. Because in your initial search warrant, that was out of the scope of your search. So there's a lot of different reasons why these things might pop up. Ideally, it would be done.
All right. So first, let me just show you guys the email. So a Mike Sitrick wrote to Jeffrey Epstein on March 9, 2011. Say, tried to call you. Harvey Levin, who runs TMZ, is a good friend. They haven't reported on this at all, but I might be able to get him to do something on the Duchess and are backpedaling. Jeffrey Epstein writes to Mike and says, I'll save for the right time. And then says, okay, with leaking to British press, but think we need a statement out. Jeffrey Epstein then writes to Mike about, Zuckerman suggested shorter and punchier, no attack on press. Pled guilty to solicitation, no tabloid exaggeration of pedophilia, paid a price, no allegations of minors since 2005, suggests leak in a London press the absurdity of Fergie's statements. There were law enforcement people in my office when I was on work release that let her in. Point being, it's just twisted media. And I don't know, I just can't see why they are sending all these letters to TMZ. He also said putting the tent up now is like closing the barn door after the horse escape. Not really, because they don't want, the police don't want them seeing what they're bringing out of the house. There's obviously specific evidence that they brought out of the house that they didn't want anyone seeing or testing, which I kind of can't blame them.
As soon as you have it, because again, that's when you're going to have your purest scene. But it's not completely uncommon to have to go back and do these things.
Is it an issue when you go to court if it's been unsealed?
Oh, absolutely. It just creates all kinds of questions. You know, why didn't you do it in the first place? And a lot of times there are very reasonable answers as to why you didn't do it in the first place. But is it going to create reasonable doubt? Potentially. And there's always going to be that question. You got to remember, nobody's perfect. Investigators aren't perfect, and things, you know, get missed. And more information of those 18, there's a lot of back channel paperwork that's going on during this whole process. That person, that vehicle could have been nothing, but it could have been something. Even if the sheriff's department didn't have contact with it that night, because that's a common call. And if you get there and there's no criminal activity going on, you may not make contact, you may not even find it. But if someone called it in, it doesn't hurt to go back and see if there's some video, because then, again, you get that one little piece of information that you hadn't had in the first place, and you can start following up on that and just, you know, keep going, always trying to, you know, uncover as many rocks at this point as you can.
What about the glove? I'm sure you saw they found a glove, and there's also some reports that it was a pair of gloves on the side of the road. It was right on the side of the road, which was interesting. And it was found 11 days after. I see you're kind of like smirking a little. Do you think it's unrelated, or you think it might be? What's your gut tell you?
My gut tells me it's unrelated. It happened to come out the day it was found, the day the video was released, or the day after it was released. The timing. If it was found on Campbell, like I was told, it's a very well-traveled road.
Exactly what I said yesterday, that the odds of this being connected are like so slim to none. And every single reporter was like, oh my God, gloves found, gloves found. Like, really, dude? Use a little common sense. The gloves are not going to be, oh my God, the kidnappers threw out the gloves 11 days later. Like, come on. Planted.
Some foot traffic, but a lot of traffic. It would stick out. People would have saw it. My guess is it wasn't there until the day it was found, but it could have been. And that being said, that's one of those rocks that you're not going to dismiss it, because it could be the smoking gun. And you want to follow up on it. But if I had to guess, it's probably not related.
Yeah, and it's my understanding those black gloves are used for a lot of different things. I mean, people who work on houses use them, people who use chemicals, hairstylists use them, cooks use them.
I have black gloves at my house for when I barbecue. Yeah. So there's just so many different uses. So, you know, there are a dime a dozen, but soon there are at least one set of black gloves out there that are related to this case.
And also, you'd think that the suspect, I mean, that would be pretty stupid to just throw them out right along the road that close to Nancy's.
I've seen dumber things criminals do. We see it all the time. You know, they panic a little bit. They think they're far enough away. Maybe he lives a good distance away, and you just toss them, say, no one's going to think about this a mile from the.
I said it yesterday, and I stand by it. I wouldn't doubt if Dolly fucking threw him there. I wouldn't doubt if JLR threw him there. I just wouldn't doubt it. I put nothing past these people. Or another reporter, for that matter. Not even them, but I can totally see Dolly doing that.
Scene. But that I've seen much stupider things done. So, you know, it's possible.
Let me show you this video too. This is ring camera video from about 5 miles away, from a different, this is a different situation, obviously, but people are looking at it because it, you know, there's a guy with a backpack.
Sure.
What do you think? I mean, tell me what you make of people are making the comparison, obviously, but you see he's got the backpack. He goes up to this gate. People are saying that the jacket looks similar.
Yeah. I would agree on a lot of those things. The jacket looks similar, the backpack, the way the backpack's loaded up. That was one of the first things I noticed with the initial video. dude looks like he's got his laundry in his backpack. There's so much stuff in there, and it consistent with that one. It could be a coincidence, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that why would you not look at that? 5 miles, while it's a good distance away, it still could be related. Because bad guys don't have boundaries. They'll go from one spot to another away from their areas where they feel comfortable at.
What I don't personally understand about the way things are covered in 2026. So the the kidnappers are probably in Mexico, long away from here, watching their every move. Because of social media, you now can see every single move the cops are making. As a kidnapper, that's a great thing to see. Back in the day, you knew nothing. The kidnappers knew nothing. If you kidnapped someone, you couldn't watch the cops and media step by step go through everything. And I just think it's wild that my personal feeling, Nancy is somewhere in the desert and they're in Mexico, like in the deep of Mexico. I don't see them ever getting caught if my scenario is correct. I just don't see how they're going to get caught based on that. Like, are they just sitting at their house? Nancy's, smoking a cigarette? No.
Obviously, especially with something like this. One thing I noticed, specifically with the first backpack, is the fact that he wore the strap across his chest, which isn't real common for most people. Most people don't even know that strap is there. And I would love to see on that second video if that strap was there, because that would.
Because here's the thing. Everybody knows Nancy's face. So they couldn't even stop for gas with Nancy in the car. So they either put her in the trunk, which would have killed her, or they dumped her off somewhere. Because eventually, if they're driving, they're going to need gas. So unless they had a private plane that they drove to and took off in a private jet and then killed the pilot, she can't be with them. And I highly doubt they're sitting in someone's house, drinking, eating bonbons. And nobody knows what they look like. So they can stop for gas. They can get whatever they need, as long as Nancy doesn't show her face, because they have no idea who they're looking for. I mean, they could be in Paris already. They don't even have to still be in the United States or Mexico. They could literally board a plane, go to Guam if they wanted to, because nobody knows who they are. Which is why I feel like the FBI and everybody else are just running a tailspin. And they could be so long gone. I mean, think about it. Let's say we don't even know if they're American. They could be from Guatemala. They could be from New Zealand. I'm sure they're halfway around the world already. Watching them, with their tail between their legs 12 days later, like, sorry, you want to find Nancy? She's somewhere in the desert. Which, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the desert. Like Nevada, it's impossible to find someone. If you ever want to kill someone, drive out to the desert. You'll never find them. And I feel like this area, it looks the same. They're never going to find her if she's in the desert somewhere.
Would be a consistent issue that most people don't wear. They just throw their backpack on and go. Because I've backpacked, so I've used that. You use it for stability, for support. There's reasons for it. Hook your thumbs on. So there's some consistencies, and why wouldn't you follow up on that? So hopefully, whatever law enforcement agency responded to that call, if they did, there's something to follow up on there.
That's a good point, though. I've
Mhm.
never snapped mine.
Yeah.
I mean,
most
I don't know.
people
Is it for
don't.
hiking most? I don't know. Yeah.
It's to distribute weight.
Yeah. And this is
Um,
a little part in the front, you
Mhm.
mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was literally the first thing I noticed about the backpack when they
Interesting.
walked up to the door. Yeah.
So what's the sense? I mean, you live here, obviously.
Mhm.
You were in law enforcement for a long time. You have a lot of friends. Like, what's the people keep asking me what my feeling is about this, and I have a hard time saying because I don't know what they know behind the scenes. It's
Mhm.
hard to say whether they're back at square one or I mean, what is your
It could be an immigrant. I don't think it was a Mexican immigrant though, because the body style just didn't coincide with like Mexicans. I don't know. I just didn't feel that impression, see that impression. But I mean, who knows?
overall sense?
Well, I don't think as far as the investigation goes, they're not at square one. You have to follow up on everything. I'm sure there's multiple teams working different leads and, because everyone's not just focused on one thing. You have to divvy up the labor. If you don't, you'll just be turning your wheels and go nowhere. So I'm sure there's folks looking here, looking there, going down to Rio Rico, up north, wherever it might be, wherever the leads are falling.
And January 11th could just be the date that Samantha or someone says someone went in the house that they didn't know, or some shady guy was walking around that time. I mean, I'm not thinking there's much to it other than that.
I'm sure there's some frustration, but sometimes, quite honestly, investigations, they don't happen overnight. You wait for that bit of information, that intelligence, that piece of evidence that you didn't have, and suddenly now we've got something. You just look at the individual in Rio Rico a couple nights ago. Prior to that, everyone thought we had nothing. Well, that was something. Turned out to be, who knows? It might have been nothing. It might have been something, but it's another stepping stone to keep going. I'm again sure that there's some frustration on the investigators' parts. I'm sure there's demands being asked of them from all around, and I'm sure of this, that they're doing their best. I'm sure they're working long hours, not sleeping much, and doing what they can do to just keep going with this.
And the pressure too. I mean, imagine doing an investigation, and I was thinking about this morning. I mean, we're literally following them around. Not me, but a lot of media is following them around everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Drones are up.
Mhm.
I mean, every little thing they do, they can't really do in secret.
Exactly, and that's a difficult part on the law enforcement side. A lot of things we don't want the media around seeing what they're doing. And again, everyone has the right to do that, but having that extra burden and trying to do your job efficiently and effectively, it's tough sometimes. I know
This because at any moment,
we take and
higher level reluctant to call the FBI in ever right away.
they're storing it locally, especially on the investigative side. If it was just a pool, you would probably
Trying to drive around. It's so confusing. There's so many twists and turns, and I can't find my way in and out getting to Nancy's house. And I thought about it, and I'm like, it really is. So we took this video to kind of show you the drive up to Nancy's house. And I was thinking, even after being here almost 2 weeks, every single night when I finish and I go back to my hotel, I have to put put the address in the GPS just to figure out how to get out of Nancy's neighborhood, because it is so dark. And there's no street lights because they have this ordinance because of the people, stargazing here. And there's so many twists and turns, and I can never remember exactly which turn to go right at specifically. So I always put it in my GPS even after all this time. And I just wanted to give you guys a visual of kind of what it looks like out here. I told you before, but the houses sit on anywhere from 1 to 4 acres. Everything's really spread out. It's dark. The roads are twist and turn. And it just makes me think back to whoever did this. I think you probably kind of had to know the area, especially in the middle of the night, navigating your way in and out of here. So those are the latest developments today. I really appreciate you guys again for following along. I'll let you know if anything else develops. And as always, my heart goes out to Nancy Guthrie's.
No, you know what I think it is, Cinnamon? I just think they don't have anything. Like all of these reporters, there's nothing. There's just nothing new. That's why I really haven't followed it today, because there's just nothing new. I don't know if it's a distraction or they just don't have anything. I think the gloves were a distraction. That's for sure. but there's just nothing new. You got people analyzing the body language. What body language? FBI gives description of suspect backpack, like, and I'll try giving it a shot, but even Dr. Phil got in on it. Dr. Phil got in on it.
I am Andy Mack. Let's continue on here as we are following the latest new information now from the FBI into the investigation of the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, as they're kind of pinpointing the exact backpack they are looking for, also giving a description of the individual in that FBI surveillance video. And I won't put this up from the FBI Phoenix here on Live Now from Fox's. They are identifying details about the suspect in the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. They've been confirmed. Forensic analysis of that doorbell camera footage by the FBI's Operational Technology Division. And they laid this out, what they saw in that video. They're increasing the reward to $100,000. Also, new forensic.
Again, $100,000 is nothing. Offer $1 million and somebody will talk. Nobody's turning on their fellow friends for money they can make in a year. Offer $1 million. $1 million is life-changing. 100,000, nobody's ratting out on their bestie or on their own mother. $1 million, somebody's ratting.
Analysis say it's a male suspect, 5'9" to 5'10" in height, average build. The suspect is wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack backpack. And that backpack, they're kind of narrowing in on, zooming in on.
Okay, anyone with two eyes could have put that forensic analysis together. We saw he had an average build, and you can see from the height, he was not super tall and he was not super short. He was around, I would have said, I think I said 5'10", 5'11". So they've spent all this money on forensic analysis. All you had to do is look at the person.
And I want to put this up, what they also posted on social media, as they are hoping that this update description will concentrate the public tips they are receiving since February 1st. They say the FBI has collected some 13,000 tips from the public related to this case. They say every tip is received for credible relevance information that can be acted upon by law enforcement. The threat.
Like right there, you can tell he's not super tall because his legs aren't super long, and either is his chest. He is definitely medium build. Like, I don't know. I'm not a forensic person, and I mean, I think it's kind of obvious that he's around 5'10", 5'11", with a medium build. You didn't need to spend all that money on that. I know, because you can see a mustache and a beard. And there's no boobs.
Information that can be acted upon.
I think the AI enhancement is what made it look like a girl.
By law enforcement. The threat intake examiners at the National Threat Operations Center, FBI, supporting 24-hour command posts in which dozens of agents, investigators are assigned leads and tips to action each shift. So some big developments here in terms of this. An alert also went out earlier on about exactly what's going on. A 2-mile radius, neighbors close to where the mother of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie went missing. They're asking for additional video. All right, let's continue here on Live Now from Fox. Bring in former NYPD detective, friend of the program, Michael Alcazar. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And they're keying in on the height. They're saying this is a male suspect, but also that backpack. How key could that be?
Yeah, I thought it was just a matter of time before they identified the brand of the backpack, the brand of clothing, his sneakers, basically his whole attire. So that's great because now everyone knows what the backpack is. If anyone's seen this guy before, they'll remember it, including the clothing. But more importantly, investigators are now checking any kind of like local purchases, perhaps if this guy's local, who carries this backpack, right? And if they do, you best believe that the investigators are going there trying to get like surveillance videos to see if they got any kind of footage of anyone buying that backpack that they can track. Right. And I guarantee they probably already have an image. I'm assuming they did that already and they're processing some images. So that's huge. They could also do it online, right? If this guy bought it online, they could track that online history too, just for credit card information, right? So anything that brings back the information back to the purchaser is a big lead.
Yeah, that is so very true. They're keying in on this backpack to potentially help them in this case. You mentioned some of the details and the close circumference around this backpack. Do they look first in Tucson? Or are they kind of going national? How do they do that exactly?
Yeah, I would imagine they'll start locally and then spiral out, right? Well, they have a lot of agents in this task force now. So there's a lot of people looking. So yeah, I would start locally and just spread out and check out all the stores, people checking online and then visiting the stores. So yeah.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Also, they're kind of keying in on any video, surveillance video. And I want to put this up here on social media, Fox News, talking about this. They have seen on that February 1st night, the sheriff wanted to talk to a man with a backpack seen from the video just miles from Nancy Guthrie's home on the same night. And these are some of the images of this individual. You can see there with a pair of backpacks trying to almost get over this wall of sorts at a nearby neighborhood. This is about 5 miles down the road in close proximity to the time frame of this. They're also key to say that this is not a person of interest. This is not a suspect. Why in particular is this person, do you think, important to them?
He might be a burglar that's, lurking around the neighborhood. He might have some information. If they find him, identify him, maybe he'll have some, maybe develop a lead, process some information that they get that maybe help capture the actual suspect.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Of course, that video is key because it's from different surveillance video that other individuals have. They're also asking for people within a 2-mile radius around Nancy Guthrie's home. They're requesting video showing vehicles, traffic, pedestrians, or suspicious activity from January 1 to February the 2nd in this 2-mile radius. This is quite a time frame. It's a
Call me crazy, but shouldn't they have been doing this from February 1st, not 12 days later? What the fuck have they been doing for 12 days? Like, I don't know. I feel like this should have been done from jump.
month long about suspicious activity. Does that tell you that potentially they believe reconnaissance was happened? What else could that indicate?
Yeah, they definitely they don't want to rule that out, right? I knew they were going to go days, weeks, now months back to see if anybody has surveillance video, because if this guy was in the area, we saw that happen with Koberger. He was driving.
Yeah, but think about this, Amber. These are guys, or a female guy, whoever. These are people that had enough balls to break into a $1 million home in the middle of the night of someone famous, a famous mother's, a famous reporter's mother. They had to be pretty calculated and know what they were doing. I don't think they would just take off to Mexico. I think they're on the other side of the world already. They may have originally gone down to Mexico, but I think they took off to the other side of the world. Why wouldn't they? Nobody knows what they look like. So that's what I think. And I really think they're watching this just laughing.
Around looking at the house, right? This bad guy was probably driving around the neighborhood, scoping out the residents, and now help develop MO, right? Is he looking at just Nancy's house, or was he just scoping out the whole neighborhood? So they're asking for anybody and everybody that has surveillance to check it out, preserve it, and notify the FBI, because that could help arrest this individual.
Do you think the 2-mile radius, that is adequate? Because obviously this is a somewhat, not rural area, but their houses are spread out. Is there a reason in your mind for just having it be that wide?
I'm not sure why they picked 2 miles. Maybe that's just for the residences. Maybe they identified that those are the homes in the area. Because I guarantee the FBI and Pima County, they're going wider. They're probably going miles down the road to stores, to gas stations, anywhere that's surveillance, highways, right? Anywhere where this guy could have had an egress, where his vehicle could have gone, right? So it's wider. Maybe they're just limiting that because this neighborhood is pretty affluent. It's pretty widespread, meaning there's not that many homes there. Maybe that they established that's a good enough amount. They could always expand it if they don't find anything.
All right, that's a very good point, and that's just kind of what's happening now. The backpack, the information about the exact kind of build and size of this individual, and also some of that information about what kind of backpack he was wearing. Let's go back to earlier this morning, because these are images right now live, as you can see Nancy Guthrie's home. But earlier on today, they did set up a white tent. This from Michael Ruiz. There, a tent is up, one deputy standing guard. I don't see any officers knowing potential evidence at Nancy Guthrie's doorstep. The blood, the small glass fragments, missing Nest door camera, the masked man, and this torn brush. I want to ask you, because they put this up, and it's been 12 some odd days since this began. Are they trying to kind of keep everything in or keep everyone out?
I think they're trying to keep whatever evidence they can still recover from being contaminated. I mean, I think they're a little bit late to the show. First of all, they should have never released the crime scene to begin with, but they're doing the best that they can, given that they have this video. Right now, we have the height and weight of this individual. If there was some kind of a struggle there when he was taking Nancy out, maybe they misprocessing part of that vestibule. Maybe they're thinking now there's evidence that they didn't recover. And I think that's why it was a short window. They set it up, they did what they had to do, and they removed it. So it could have been nothing, or it could have been they recovered a little something. But they just want to make sure they check all the boxes.
Does that concern you, though? Because we've seen media members, we've seen a pizza delivery driver walk all the way up to that about evidence being compromised in terms of not only finding this individual, but the prosecution down the road. Does that concern you?
It does, because that evidence, that crime scene should have never been released. And I hate to say it, because your news media shouldn't be that close to that crime scene. They're right there. They showed FBI agents looking in the area right adjacent to our property, and a couple of steps away is a news crew. That could totally compromise the crime scene. I think it's bad protocol. I'm sure a good defense attorney could, if they ever make an arrest, could say that evidence wasn't his, that could have been planted there, that could have been from anybody that was trampling around that area. So yeah, it's going to be difficult to prove if they ever capture this guy.
Yeah, we wish that secure crime scene was there for the extended period, because we are asking viewers some of these similar kind of questions. Annette there on social media responding to us. One of these questions we asked our viewers and Annette said, "I'm concerned about all the media vehicles parked along the road in front of the Nancy Guthrie's home. My concern is that they may be blocking something that might be on the ground, something."
I'll tell you what I don't like, off subject for a second, what I don't like about the cell on here, it doesn't auto adjust to a cell phone. Like, it should automatically change the screen to 16:9 or 9:16, whichever is cell, and it doesn't automatically adapt to cell phone. That's an issue. I'm just looking at it and thought of it.
Small, that when on the ground searches are being conducted, that they missed something. Is it, in your experience, something that they can block off a residential area? Is there protocols in place that the police can do this?
100%. The rule is make the crime scene as big as possible. You can always make it smaller, right? If you're treating this a homicide, you want to secure that area. And she's right. And that is right, because vehicles are coming through. They might be rolling over evidence, taking evidence out of there, introducing, DNA and everything else that comes with people. So it's not a good scene. In my opinion, they should, I hate to say, but the media shouldn't be there, because it's still a live crime scene. They're still processing things. They just found the glove, right? Yeah. So they should preserve that crime scene.
Yeah, it is kind of still perplexing or wild that we are getting this vantage point even on day number 12, right outside of her home there in this Catalina Foothills neighborhood. And you mentioned that black glove because the New York Post actually had video of it last night of one of the FBI members, the investigative team that was canvassing this area. They came across this black glove. They put it in what appears to be an evidence bag or envelope of some kind, talking about this black glove. And this black glove was found a little bit away, a mile or two away from Nancy Guthrie's home. They found it, but they were looking along the road, looking for any evidence. Do you think there was anything that tipped them off that this individual, whoever that may be, was kind of discarding things along the way, or is that just common protocol?
No, I think that since we have an individual identified on that video, I'm sure they revisited it and they want to see how did this guy perhaps potentially left the scene. So they expanded the grid and then they found the glove. Right now, we don't know if that glove belonged to this perpetrator. Hopefully it does. They're going to test it right now for trace evidence, any kind of fibers, right? Clothing fibers. And because where they found that glove in that location, they have to concentrate in that area as well if they didn't already, right? They should include that in part of the search to see if there's any other evidence over there or any, I hate to say it, is there any location where potentially the body of Nancy could be hidden, right? This is what we have to do as investigators. We have to investigate all avenues, right? So I hope that's not too upsetting, but sometimes it's the reality of police work, and we have to do the hard stuff.
Yeah, to look in every single point of this investigation. They're potentially pulling DNA or some kind. What else can they gather from that black glove? What else are they trying to tie to it?
So they're comparing, if there's DNA on that, if there's any kind of trace evidence, they're going to compare it to the crime scene, right? They're going to run it through a database to see if they can identify an individual that matches whatever DNA, whatever skin cells that hopefully is linked to the perpetrator. So I'm sure they're processing that right now. And it's amazing how much evidence and how much information is coming in now because of this video surveillance that they recovered.
Yeah, that is very good. And they potentially could get even more in terms of this video surveillance. I also want to take us back again to this morning because these different events, these new information kind of cascade. But we saw another note be sent to TMZ this morning. I want to put this up here on Live Now from Fox talking about that Bitcoin request because they believe potentially have information that could lead to the kidnapper. And it was an ominous note claiming they know the identity of the apparent abductor. The words are chilling. And in this note to TMZ, they claim they are, quote, not being taken seriously. They also said they, quote, need this money to lay low after identifying the kidnapper for fear of retaliation. There also worries that, quote, they might be incriminated like the Carlos guy that was detained a few nights ago in Rio Rico. This feels no hoax or authentic, that they're paying attention to it. Does that stand out to you?
Yeah, I think right now with these ransom and demands for money, it's probably being.
Thanks, Iris. But looking at my numbers, I got some pathetic numbers going on. For 22,000 subscribers, this is bad. And on cell phone, there's 5 people watching. That's pretty sad. Everyone's like, oh, do the dual streaming, lots of people are on cell phone. No, they're not. I don't know if I'm not in the algorithm or what.
Treated more like another separate investigation, right? And later they're gonna join them together. But if this guy has some information, he should just give the information. I don't know why it seems like he might have been a part of it. It sounds like it, right? Because he doesn't want to be incriminated. So I'm sure that's something that they're investigating too. But right now, I think they're concentrating on the video. It could be possible too that this guy's panicking because now we have the video and he might feel like this guy will be identified sooner and he won't be able to collect on the information that he's providing. It could be for his own selfish reasons.
That is very true. We already seen one person arrested there on the hoax. And as I mentioned, Michael, we were talking about kind of getting the viewers' perspective on this. I do have another question for you, and I think potentially even I could answer it, but Connie there from Illinois says, why haven't dogs been used? I believe we have seen a canine unit there on the ground.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't even think of that. You don't see many dogs searching the area. Why?
Outside of this Catalina foothills area, but in your experience, canines, how valuable could they be? Cadaver dogs, but also just canine units, how valuable could they be?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to rerun the canines, right? They've been there on the scene, so I'm sure. I mean, I haven't seen it on the news, but I'm sure they're going to bring them out again, especially where they found the glove, right? And in that area, when they're expanding that grid search, they're absolutely going to use their canine unit, cadaver dogs, right, to hopefully provide more evidence that they can recover.
Very good. Michael, anything else that you want to note? Anything else that perks your interest that you hope or see this investigation going?
I mean, I think it's great that they recovered the video. It's just a crime that we didn't recover it sooner. Imagine we recovered this like day 2. How much closer we'll be to solving this case. I'm glad it's being done, but I feel like I hate to Monday morning quarterback my fellow law enforcement. They kind of dropped the ball in the beginning there.
Yeah, obviously it's very unfortunate what's going on with this investigation. Day number 12 in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Michael Alcazar, thank you so much. Your insight is so invaluable. We appreciate your time here on Live Now. All right, welcome back.
See, there are things the cop said that I disagree with. I think he's giving the police like too much credit. And I understand as a cop he would do that, but I just think he's giving them way too much credit. I think they've done a horrible job. I think they have done absolutely nothing. And every single highlight says new evidence, new evidence. What new evidence? There is no new evidence. There's absolutely nothing new. Sad but true. I'm looking to see if there's anything else. Let's see what this is. So, long crime, 5 Nancy Guthrie suspect conspiracy theories. So I know some of you guys are into conspiracies, so let's see what they say. I know one of them is going to be that it's a female.
It's the question that still hasn't been answered now 12 days after she vanished. The FBI says they're tracking persons of interest, but the identity of the masked person caught on Nancy's doorstep remains a mystery. And now with these chilling images revealed, the question is bigger than ever. Who took the 84-year-old? We are digging into it all. We're on The Case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Issue with wallets. Sometimes you just get that hot.
He is honestly my favorite long crime reporter. There's something about, maybe it just reminds me of my brother, but there's something about him I just like. And we have the exact same microphone. That's my microphone.
Puck that sits in your back pocket. But I started hearing about proof wallets. I have one right here. Now, at first I was suspicious because so many people were saying they were awesome, but well, right now we are in day 12 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, and everyone is just trying to figure out what happened to the mom of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. And there are so many theories that are out there, so much speculation. Frankly, it can be exhausting looking at all the speculation. Now, we investigated 5 theories that may end up being the direction that law enforcement takes in investigating this case. Now, before we dive into these theories, I do want to break down some of the latest information that we know at this point. One of them, gloves. A pair of gloves reportedly found on the side of a road near Nancy Guthrie's home. And according to local media, as well as the New York Post, those gloves are now being tested for DNA to see.
I also, and I'm not a pro, so this is just an opinion. I don't think he's wearing cheap latex gloves. To me, they look weird and they look like it's a much higher quality than just your standard latex gloves. But I mean, I might be wrong, but looking at the other footage, that like most latex gloves, you can kind of see through, and you couldn't see through those. I just think it's a better quality than your standard, your rubber, thank you, than your standard latex gloves. I think it did look like rubber gloves. No, this guy's good, Jeff. He's really good. I've watched him on a lot of stories.
If they are somewhat connected to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Now, those
that doesn't look like a latex glove to me. That looks like a rubber glove. And even if you look on his other hand, those are thick. That's not latex. And then someone else pointed out that it looks like they're taped around him. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
side of a road near Nancy Guthrie's home. And according to local media, as well as the New York Post, those gloves are now being tested for DNA to see if they are somewhat connected to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Now, many people are also pointing to the videos of the masked and armed individual who was seen on Guthrie's doorstep the morning that she vanished on February 1st. And there are so many questions about who this person is and whether they know the Guthries and if they physically took Nancy, or was the person that we see here just a potential partner in crime who tampered with the cameras. So let's dive into some of the theories that have been suggested as this story has developed. And just to be clear, these are all just possibilities and theories. The sheriff and the FBI, they have remained very quiet about any potential leads or suspects in the case. So the first theory we're talking about today is a classic, frankly, for anyone who watches law and crime or takes in true crime content. And it's the first step of any kind of investigation. Police look at the people closest to the crime, that whoever took Nancy Guthrie was a member of the Guthrie family. Now, in the hours before Nancy vanished, she was at her daughter Annie's house in Tucson for dinner. What we know is that
it absolutely could be a glove on top of another glove, 100%. See, her eyes look like the kidnapper. Look at her eyes. That looks just like the kidnapper.
Nancy Ubered to Annie's house, which is just about 10 minutes away from her home, around 5:30. It was a nice family night. They had dinner, they played games, and then a family member drives her back to her own home at 9:45-ish. Now, the sheriff won't say specifically what family member drove Nancy home. Nancy's daughter's house, that's been the focus of a lot of law enforcement activity. We see law enforcement going back to Annie's home almost on a daily basis. And we have seen them talk to neighbors of Annie, asking if there is any sort of doorbell camera, surveillance camera that can help them piece together what happened on the night before Nancy Guthrie disappeared. In fact, on Wednesday night, investigators were seen going into Annie's home again. And then they came out reportedly with a bag. Unclear what was in the bag, but they had gloves on. And it's been reported that Annie and her husband are no longer staying at that house. And that's understandable because police and the FBI continue to comb through it. And there's so much media attention outside their home as well. Now, it is unclear why law enforcement continues to focus on Annie's home beyond the fact that Nancy was there prior to her disappearance. Now, the Guthrie family said that when the surveillance pictures were released, they didn't recognize the person as someone who they knew. Savannah Guthrie is very close with her family. Annie is her older sister. She also has a brother named
Annie's eyes look too far apart for it to be Annie. Her eye set is too far apart.
Cameron, and we've seen the three of them arm in arm in videos posted last week saying that they would pay the ransom money to whoever sent those alleged notes to media outlets like TMZ.
This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Now, as a reminder, everything that we have heard from the FBI and the sheriff's department has been that the family's been very cooperative. When deputies went to Annie's house to search it last weekend at night, that was a consensual search. They didn't need a search warrant to do it. Now, it should be noted that former News Nation journalist Ashley Banfield released a report on her YouTube channel, Drop Dead Serious, seemingly pointing the finger at a family member, Nancy's son-in-law. Hours after her report, the Pima County Sheriff's Department fired back on social media, tweeting, quote, "Detectives are working closely with the Guthrie family. While we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations."
See, that's fucked up of Ashley Banfield. That's probably why she keeps getting fired, but that's fucked up. You don't do that. Like, why would she point the finger at a family member? You're a fucking reporter, and a bad one at that. I guess that's where the information came from, where everyone was blaming the son-in-law, the brother-in-law, whatever. Well, now you know why. Ashley Banfield, she did the same thing in the Watts case.
Accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation. No suspect or person of interest have been identified at this time. Now, another potential possibility in this case is that whoever took Nancy Guthrie was someone who is targeting Savannah. She's hosted the Today Show since 2012. She is one of the most recognizable faces on TV. She interviews celebrities, presidents, and other powerful people. She has spoken with President Trump, who offered his full support in this case. She's connected and she has money. Could that make her and her family a target? The Pima County Sheriff said that his department has been in touch with NBC's security to see if Savannah's received any sort of threat or anything that might be of interest to this case. Nancy Guthrie's also been a regular on the Today Show. In fact, her last appearance on the show spotlighted her love of Tucson. That was in November of last year. The segment talked about how she moved to Tucson in the 1970s, and she decided to stay in the area to raise her family because of the laid back and gentle quality of life. Savannah went to college and high school in Tucson before she followed her dreams in a career in television news. Now, it is possible that someone knew that Nancy was in that community based on what they saw on TV. It's unclear if that's the case here, but something that you do have to think about. Now, one of the big questions as this case has been developing is who had access to Nancy Guthrie's house. We know that she lived alone, but she also had health issues. The sheriff said that she couldn't walk 50 yards by herself, but she was still sharp mentally. But the medication, that's been such a big concern. The sheriff saying she needs medication daily. Without it, it could be fatal. Now, Nancy needed help, and apparently she did have some help in the form of people like a...
As weird as this sounds, I'm going to say it again. Her eyes are the eyes of the kidnapper. Look at her eyes. They are the exact same as the kidnapper. Now, believe me, I know she's not the kidnapper, but you see what I'm saying, though? It's the exact eye set, which makes me wonder if it's someone very close to her.
Pool cleaner or gardener who would come to her property. According to Fox News, hired help has been asked to give DNA swabs in the case. Now, another person who said that he may have been at Nancy Guthrie's home at some point is Carlos Palazuelos. Now, he's the delivery driver who was detained Tuesday night in Rio Ricos, Arizona, about an hour south of Tucson near the U.S.-Mexico border.
They helped me against my will. They didn't read me my rights until 2 hours later. Okay? You know what I mean? My wrist is all swollen. From the handcuffs. Like,
and did you have any idea
no,
that this was about him?
No.
And do you know who Nancy Guthrie
no.
is?
That's the problem. No, I don't know anything.
You were like...
This is video per CBS News. Carlos said he had nothing to do with Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. In fact,
his eyes are too wide set, too.
In fact, he said he had never heard of Nancy Guthrie. He had never heard of Savannah Guthrie until law enforcement pulled him over while he was driving for DoorDash.
And so then when they came up on you, what did they say? Like, what did they say?
Nothing. Nothing. Literally nothing. Nothing. They just told me, stop moving. Like, what's your name? Carlos. And that's it. They put me in the cop car. You gotta wait like 2 hours. I waited like 2 hours until the detectives came here and everything.
Oh my God.
When they finally told you this had to do with some kidnapping, like what were you thinking?
This dude's like, yo, I'm just a poor DoorDash driver. Look at all the attention I'm getting. I'm famous.
I didn't do anything. To be honest, like, I'm innocent.
And you don't even know who the lady is? Do you know who Savannah Guthrie is?
No. I don't follow the news.
Right.
I don't watch.
You don't watch the Today Show?
No.
So this was a complete shock.
It was.
Now, even though Carlos has been adamant, he has nothing to do with the Guthrie case. It's important to note that law enforcement said that they did have a search warrant to go through his house, meaning that investigators had to present evidence to a judge who then signed off on allowing them to search his house and take his electronics. We are learning more now about why law enforcement may have circled in on Carlos, or more specifically his home. ABC News is reporting that the FBI ID'd Carlos based off cell phone usage information and traffic data. Now, it's unclear specifically what about those things made law enforcement believe that Carlos would be someone that they would want to talk to. Carlos suggested that as a delivery driver, he may have dropped off a package at Nancy's house during the day. He works for a different delivery company than DoorDash in the Tucson area. So that is a possibility. But again, they would need more evidence than that to get a search warrant. Carlos's mother-in-law told reporters that law enforcement showed her the surveillance pictures and asked if it was her son-in-law, and she said no. But when you hear that, you do wonder if law enforcement truly believed that they were on the cusp of breaking this case wide open on Tuesday night. Now, when you hear about electronics, you have to think about the alleged ransom notes sent to TMZ and at least 2 Tucson television stations demanding money for Nancy Guthrie. Now, it's unclear whether those notes are legit. TMZ says that their sources tell them the FBI is operating on the belief that the notes were sent by the person or persons responsible for allegedly taking Nancy Guthrie. However, we have heard some skepticism from law enforcement experts. On one hand, those notes mention specifics that may not have been public at the time they were sent. The FBI said that it talked about Nancy's Apple Watch still being in the house and something about floodlights on the outside of the home. Those floodlights have since been removed. Now, on the other hand, those notes were sent a day after Nancy was taken. The notes also had 2 deadlines, and whoever sent the notes never communicated further, to our understanding, with law enforcement or the Guthrie family, and they never offered any sort of proof of life images that we know about. Another theory that we have seen suggested is whoever took Nancy Guthrie was a member of a larger criminal organization, even a cartel, from just over the border in Mexico. We know that FBI Director Kash Patel said that law enforcement is looking for multiple persons of interest in this case, but it's unclear how sophisticated the people who may have taken Nancy Guthrie are as criminals. I asked former CIA and FBI agent Tracy Walder about whether any part of this case seems to point in the direction of a cartel.
Cartel doesn't completely make sense to me. Cartels, yes, they do ransoms and those kinds of things, but cartels tend to be quite brutal and quite showy with the violence that they inflict on people, and they don't seem to care necessarily. So what I would think, if Mexico is even involved, which I don't even know that it is, and they said they have not engaged with officials in Mexico, if they are even involved, it's more likely that someone here took her there rather than someone there coming here.
Joining us now to talk more about this case and where it could go next is Chris McDonough, homicide investigator. Thank you for being with us here on Law and Crime.
I have seen, and now I haven't watched this yet, but I have seen Chris McDouchebag insert himself in this whole case and offer nothing of value. I don't know why everybody keeps bringing him on panel. He literally offers zero value in everything I've seen.
It seems like, and just as we're coming on and recording this, they just put a tent out in front of the doorway to Nancy Guthrie's home. That's where we saw the video of the blood, and potentially that's where this armed individual was the morning of February 1st when Nancy Guthrie was taken. But each day it seems like there's still a lot of activity at her house, in her neighborhood, as well as Annie's house, her oldest daughter. What do you make of investigators continuing to go back to those areas now 12 days later?
Hey, Jan, Jeff. Oh, I agree.
You know, Chris, I think what's happening right now, based on
It's like he literally just wants to hear himself talk, but he offers nothing.
the video coming back, there's a lot of lab stuff starting to return, right? Like this video. And if you'll notice in that particular video, you see the suspect standing on that mat, the outdoor mat. You also see the debris that was still on the porch, okay, even before the video came in. So they're probably going to process that mat out there, and that's maybe why they put the tent up in front of the door there, okay? Because
McDouchebag, that's not what he asked you. Nobody cares about the tent. We already know that. Can you offer something of fucking value?
there's a system that you can use. It's called an MVAC system. And what you can physically do, it's like a vacuum cleaner that essentially sucks up any type of debris or anything like that. And you can actually take that and test it for DNA. So my suspicion is at this particular point, they probably have another DNA hit somewhere or in terms of information that's come back. And so you're going to start seeing situations like this where they're going to canvass the neighborhoods a lot more. They're going to be looking for digital footprints because they probably got digital evidence back now. And they're trying to tie those things together.
You know, law enforcement.
You see what I mean? Like, he doesn't even answer the question. He's just talking to make him fucking self-talk. Hey, Grandma Rose. He's just not even offering anything. Like, you didn't even answer the fucking question. Like, I cannot stand that man.
Has continued to say that they don't have a suspect or person of interest in this case. We have these images. They detained this man the other day, but then let him go. You still see them going to Annie Guthrie's house a lot, and that's where Nancy was for dinner, game night with family, and then she's driven back home on February, or I guess it was January 31st, and then February 1st she's taken. What do you make about just the focus there seems to be? And it's all consensual searches that from what we've been told. It's not like a search warrant that they need to go in. It seems like the family's very cooperative. But what do you make of just the amount of attention that we have seen on the place, not that she was taken from, but the place she was before?
So remember in the victim risk continuum, right? This is a very, very low risk victim, very low risk. And so that tells us that, you know, the victim and the suspect at some point had some type of association, i.e. they crossed paths. Could have been a grocery store, could have been an employee, you know, a friend of an employee, but there is this nexus that connects it. And the reason they keep going back there is because the family, Annie and I believe her husband, the brother-in-law, has said, hey, we were the last to see her alive. We were also the first to discover that she wasn't in the house.
Like, Chris, we know all this already. You still haven't answered the fucking questions. This is what I mean. I don't know why anybody brings him on panel. I don't know why anybody watches this idiot. And it blows my mind. I have fucking 45 people watching, and Chris McDonough gets 11,000. Brittany gets 600. I just don't understand the American people. I just don't. It's like people want to watch fucking morons.
So they were the first and the last, okay? And an interesting anomaly that I've caught from, you know, my experience is the garage door. So the sheriff puts on the timeline, the garage door opens at 9:48 p.m. and then it closes at 9:50 p.m. So that tells us they have that data from that garage door, either the keypad or the system there, right? But you know what we're not seeing is when the family arrived, a timeline if that garage door opened. So that means that leaves this gap that says, okay, well, how did they get into the house? If they went through the front door, they certainly had to see all that blood. If they went through the garage door, you're going to get that data that they may be holding back, okay? And then the third option is, how did they go through the same point of entry that the perpetrator may have gone through? So those are kind of investigative anomalies that you have to, you have to cross those T's and dot those I's, and say, okay, well, did you see the blood on the porch? If you went through the garage, how come we don't have a data point on that? If you went through the back door, wasn't that suspicious enough almost immediately, to call the authorities? And if you notice, the very, very first interview.
All right, I'm confused, okay? And this is why I'm confused. He's talking about when Nancy got home at 9:15. Nothing would be out of sync at 9:15. Like, I don't get what the fuck he's saying. So I'm gonna rewind it for a minute. Don't hate me. But I'm not understanding what he's getting at.
And say, okay, well, did you see the blood on the porch? How did they go through the same point of entry that the perpetrator may have gone through? So those are kind of investigative anomalies that you have to, you have to cross those T's and dot those I's.
But she didn't get kidnapped till 1:30 in the morning. What does this have to do with what happened at 9:45? This is why I'm confused.
And say, okay, well, did you see the blood on the porch? If you went through.
There wouldn't be blood on the porch at 9:15. There wouldn't be blood on the porch until 1:30 in the morning.
The garage, how come we don't have a data point on that? If you went through the back door, wasn't that suspicious enough almost immediately, to call the authorities? And if you notice, the very, very first interview that the sheriff gave, the first thing he was asked by a journalist was, who dropped her off? And he says, the family. And then the follow-up question, which was a great question, was, did they see her inside the house? And he answers, yes. Okay. That's very problematic. So he knows something that we don't know.
Because that was that, and I, keep going back to that part, because the follow-up is, another follow-up was just like, who was the family member? We know that Annie Guthrie's married, and then there's been this report that was put out there where, that, her husband, was, his name has been out there, and there's been nothing to this point that has, publicly by law enforcement said that, that they have a suspect at all. So it's like when the sheriff was asked who was the person, and we don't know specifically who's the person who drove Nancy Guthrie home, and he's not answering it. Do you read anything into that? Or is it something where he might just say, because of the media attention on this person, just to protect them? Because if you throw, their name out there in a news conference, then suddenly the internet, tries to incriminate someone even more if they're completely innocent.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think the sheriff did the right thing by kind of holding back, because at that point, everybody's on the table at this point, right? Because you have to start, in that inner circle, like we were talking about there, because in that inner circle is that cross. Okay. However, there is one other interesting point on this. Okay. Remember the fruitcake out in LA who decides to inject themselves into the largest, kidnapping case, probably since the Lindbergh baby. Okay. In terms of publicity and et cetera. And this guy just decides to say, yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and ask, for Bitcoin, et cetera. They have to eliminate that guy too, because you have to ask yourself, well, why didn't you communicate with Savannah? Why didn't you communicate with her brother? Okay. You chose to communicate with her sister via text message. But you notice the anomaly in this is this guy also says, yeah, and I reached out to the brother-in-law. Okay. Well, the brother-in-law is not even on the radar at that point. Okay? So you got to ask yourself, well, why are you picking the brother-in-law to communicate? And then the next piece of this puzzle in that affidavit is the authorities have said he makes a 9-second phone call, the suspect in LA, but they don't tell us to who. Okay. They just said a family member. Okay. So that to me stuck out. It's like, well, why does this guy inject himself into this case, to get arrested? That's crazy. And then the second piece is, well, who did he call? I'd like to know that. And then so as an investigator, you're going to have to unwind all of that. You're going to have to re-engineer it as a whole.
What do you make of the ransom notes? Does that follow the pattern of how a ransom note typically operates? And then at the same time, it's like, if you're someone who's sending a ransom note, do you want to follow the path that every other ransom note has? Because in a lot of these cases, we know the FBI is very good at tracking down people who send ransom notes. So, does the fact that it might be a little different with when the ransom note was sent out, the fact it went to media outlets, the fact that there are 2 deadlines, does that something that, I guess, discredits the credibility? Or could it be something where this is a person who said, because maybe they're, very good at sending ransom notes, they looked and said, I'm not going to follow the same path as everybody else?
So, yeah, the ransom note is an anomaly here in relationship to the behavior.
Is that his fucking favorite word tonight? Everything is an anomaly? Is a factor an idiot an anomaly?
Of the perpetrator, right? The BAU wrote every single word inside of the response that the families read. I can assure you of that. Okay. So the first thing they obviously wanted to do is, well, fine, we've got your letter. Okay. The fact that they went to 2 TV stations and, a major outlet, an entertainment outlet, the fact that they sent it to 3, points of interest, okay, is an anomaly in of itself, because that kind of says, hey, wait a minute, this is an attention seeker, et cetera. However, there had to be some information that the authorities saw in there that said, okay, this could be legit. Let's take a look at this, get the BAU, let's write the response. Okay. So the first thing that they wanted to see, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to just say, because then you have this third ransom note that comes in yesterday. And that was one where it just, for 1 Bitcoin, I'll tell you where it was, but there wasn't.
Right.
And that was TMZ putting it out there. It was.
You see what I mean, though? He's absolutely fucking worthless. Like, he hasn't answered one question.
Isn't the FBI, because the FBI had in a news conference kind of gave some legitimacy that they were taking the initial ransom notes seriously, whether they're true or not. This one from TMZ just kind of didn't pass the smell test for me. I don't know about for you.
No, I'm 100% with you. That one right there is kind of just, what we would call noise, right? Background noise right now with somebody trying to jump on the bandwagon. To be honest with you, I had to, I made a comment that, remember the old Nigerian, hey, you've inherited, $5 million, right? That kind of plays into that principle, because the FBI's offered a $50,000 reward. If you want money, just go turn this guy in and go get the reward. The feds are going to give it to you.
And when it comes to the description of this person, and I know there's been some local reports that maybe they know the type of brand that he was wearing, the backpack that was it was full when he was there at the front steps of the house. Those backpacks are sold. The one, I think it was Ozark Trail, something like that is one that I think is being at least put out there as a possibility. It's sold at Walmart. I mean, those, how many of those are sold a day? I mean, it seems easier said than done to figure out, okay, these are the people who bought, these types of backpacks. How do you actually go about finding value in that direction when it comes to?
Here's the one thing that stood out to me about this, and not putting any theory or any weight into who it is. If you're breaking into someone's house, wouldn't you move faster? I understand it was 1:30 in the morning, but that's a camera. He doesn't know if somebody inside is watching the camera. There are times that I'll hear something and I'll watch my phone like my camera through my phone, or I happen to get up to go to the bathroom and my bathroom window leads to the front. So sometimes I'll hear something and I'll grab my phone and I'll watch my camera to see if there's anything there. How did he know that nobody was watching him? That's my one part of this that I can't seem to answer. He was moving very slow for a stranger who would not know if somebody was watching from the inside, called the cops, anything. Usually you see people like rip off the camera like as fast as possible. So that's why I'm kind of like, he was moving too lackadaisical, like it just didn't matter and he was just going through the motions of covering it. I don't know if anybody else gets that feeling, but that's the one thing that stood out to me that nobody's been able to answer.
A particular brand.
Well, what you do is you coordinate with, that private partner.
How many of those are sold a day? I mean, it comes to the description.
Like, just watch how slow he's moving.
Of this person. And, I know there's been some local reports that maybe they know the type of brand that he was wearing, the backpack that was still, it was full when he was there at the front steps of the house. Those backpacks are sold. The one, I think it was Ozark Trail, something like that is one that I think is being at least put out there as a possibility. It's sold at Walmart.
You see what I mean? He's just I'm going to mute it, but he is just moving so slow and so lackadaisical and just going through the motions. I mean, you're sitting in front of $1 million home with a mask on, you would think, and a flashlight, you would think you would move a bit faster. And he doesn't. He's super slow. I just found that really odd.
Here's the type of item that we're looking for. We want to know. And so then there you can, if you get video, then you can get, transactions information in relationship to, credit cards or that, et cetera. And so that becomes more of chasing down the, the financial chain, right? And if you happen to get lucky and get a video of him purchasing it, that's like a home run. Okay. And that's what the feds do the best. They have these relationships with a lot of these corporate partners, and you throw a search warrant at them and say, look, this is an exigent circumstance. We have an 84-year-old woman out there. She still hasn't been found, and we believe this could possibly be the suspect. And if a judge signs off, you throw it to their security department and they'll go to work for you.
And, the term sophisticated it just never feels right to call a criminal sophisticated, just especially in a case as horrific as this. But when you watch that doorbell camera of this person, what they're wearing, the way, just the mannerisms that they have, did this stand out to you as someone who would be characterized by law enforcement as a sophisticated criminal?
No. This individual is not a sophisticated, let's think through this, because, there's a couple clues, right? The holster that he's wearing is for a revolver. Okay. Number one, and he's got an automatic pistol inside of that particular holster. So he doesn't have a lot of, experience around guns. Okay.
All right. Do I have any gun people in here? Because that's my other question. Why does it matter? He had a gun. So why does it fucking matter if it's the wrong holster or not? If it fits the gun, why is this a problem? Maybe he took the holster from a different gun. I don't get why that makes him not sophisticated just because he put it in a different holster. Maybe he did that because his partner had the other gun. I mean, who knows?
That's what that told me. The second piece of this puzzle is the type of gloves that he's wearing. I mean, those are large, bulky gloves. Okay. Well, how are you going to get your finger into the trigger guard if you need that particular gun? Okay. So that's more of a persona of intimidation. Okay. That tells us, is that really even a real gun? Is it a replica? We don't know. They're chasing that down now. I'm sure of it. Okay. With that video that's come out. If it is a real gun, then that tells us he's prepared to use deadly force. That's a problem. Okay. And then the other thing that we look at is his problem solving capability. When he gets to the porch and he discovers, the light, that tells us, one, he didn't plan on that piece of it. Okay. Or if he did, then is he acting? Is this something that he is, just kind of going with it? Because his resolution to the problem, as we saw, is to pick up the debris and cover the doorbell. Okay. And when you think through that, okay, it's like, okay, is there a car now? If this guy can't even figure out how to, disengage a doorbell up front initially, potentially, right? Because that's what the timeline says. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then how does he get her out of the house? And if there's a car, is there a second person, or is this guy, how is this guy operating? So that told me there could be a second person as well. And my thought process there was this: if he's coming to the front and the other guy's coming through the back, is he expecting the guy to come through the house and open the front door? And that was kind of like the aha moment. Oh crap, there's a doorbell here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or, we go back to, is this guy, just a bumbling idiot, okay, at the door? And there's somebody else pulling the strings away from him. And maybe he's just going to get, a couple of bucks, through the side here to get her out of the house. But he has successfully gotten her out of the house. So that gives us some indication that there was a thought process here. But I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed right now.
No, and you have to wonder if they had some moment.
Well, he's gotten away with it for 71 days. I'm sorry, for 12 days. He can't be that dumb. There's not a single trace of any of them. So sorry, but yeah.
Whoever the people were, and hopefully it's not something, if Nancy Guthrie is still alive, that it would be making her situation even more dangerous. But I'm sure there was a moment wherever they are, wherever they're watching, where they realized that video actually did exist and the FBI does indeed have it. That probably changed, how they're feeling about how this is going on. And hopefully they're brought to justice sometime soon, now in day 12 of the search for Nancy Guthrie. Yeah. Chris McDonough, homicide investigator. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Absolutely, Chris.
Please don't ever bring him on your show again, because I like you, but I'm going to not watch you if you bring this moron on your show again. Just saying.
Thank you so much.
If you have any information on Nancy Guthrie, you can contact the Pima County Sheriff at 520-3.
Okay. Local news. Well, local news reported it was not true about Nanos blocking evidence from FBI. I didn't think so, sweet misery, only because the FBI is not going to release any information. So the fact that Nerdy Addict came up with this, nah, I'm not buying it. See, my instinct was right. McDonough needs to go back to the wells and drink Mountain Dew with Candace. I agree. Or smoke crack with Candace. Either or. Megyn Kelly's usually pretty good. Mystery man with 2 backpacks 5 miles from Guthrie. Doesn't mean much. See, here's my other question, though. What was in, his backpack was packed. What was in it? That's what I want to know. What in a kidnapping, what could you possibly have in your backpack that what could possibly be in your backpack that it's full and heavy when you're about to kidnap someone?
Investigators quickly declared her residence a crime scene, saying evidence indicated she did not leave voluntarily and was likely taken against her will, possibly from her bed, and they're moving a lot more quickly. And there's an opportunity here for investigators to get some real leads in all this. Let's bring in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas.
The video in its entirety right now.
See how slow he's moving? I'm going to mute it. He's moving so slow. Even walking up to the door, he's moving too slow. Getting the bushes, he's moving too slow. And a flashlight right on a camera.
Let's take some still images of this video and really analyze who and what we are dealing with here. So this first image here, it looks as if the suspect is walking up with some sort of reflectors on either shoulder. And in the middle there where, presumably his face is, it looks like he maybe has a possible flashlight, possibly, hanging out of his or.
Okay, another question. Why would you go? That's true, Cinnamon. Why would you walk up to someone's house with flashlights? I'm sorry, but if I'm going to rob someone's house or kidnap someone, I'm not going to do it with a bright light walking up to the house.
Her mouth. Now, Vinny, we move on. We mentioned those reflectors on each shoulder. We now see in this image that those reflectors are part of the straps on a book bag or a backpack that they were wearing when they came up to the door. And speaking of that backpack, Vinny, we move on to another image. We see that's a full backpack on their back. I don't know why you need a full backpack full of whatever they have in that bag to kidnap an 84-year-old woman or do anything late at night at someone's residence. But then we move on to this one, and this one's the most concerning, this other image. If you look down kind of towards the bottom right of the image, towards the person's waistband area, you see that's a gun hanging in front of them. Oh, presumably a loaded gun, a deadly weapon that they brought to this house, Nancy Guthrie's house. We move on, Vinny, again.
See, but that's the one thing that McDonough said that I agree with. With those type of gloves on, or as bulky as the gloves seem, whether it be rubber, nitrate, whatever it is, how are you going to get a trigger of a gun immediately? You're not going to be able to. Like, that gun is probably going to slip out of your hands, or how are you going to get, like, if you notice, he's having a hard time bending his fingers. How are you going to get that in the trigger of a gun? I didn't think of that until it's one thing McDouche said that he's right about.
Looking at this suspect here, seeing what they have, these leather gloves on their hands, looks to be thick leather gloves there. And Vinny, I can think of one other famous case that involved some questionable leather gloves back in the 90s. So
that would be O.J. Simpson.
Here we are with gloves again in this image. And lastly, Vinny, here, the image of this suspect with what looks to maybe be a possible flashlight in their mouth, or it could be maybe a shiny gold or silver tooth reflecting off the light, because we do know that neighborhood is a very dark area, so any light would probably reflect off of that camera image. But that's what we break down the video, Vinny. Those are concerning, images of this suspect walking around the house. But Vinny, speaking of those gloves, we have this image obtained by the New York Post of a glove that investigators found in the area of Nancy Guthrie's house. Now, we don't know if this glove is actually connected to this person we're seeing in the videos, but according to the New York Post, Vinny, they say FBI agents have recovered a black glove from a roadside near Nancy Guthrie's house, potentially a major clue in the search for the masked thug who is suspected of abducting the 84-year-old woman, the Post can reveal. Detectives found the clothing item which resembles the pair worn by the armed perpetrator caught on video about 1.5 miles from the home of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother. So Vinny, investigators have found this glove. We see this video of this potential suspect here. Regardless, whoever this person is, clearly they showed up to do something inappropriate at that residence.
All right, Cody's going to stick around. That brings us to the first question in our investigation. Does this look like a professional kidnapper? The image of him, the mannerisms, what he's wearing, what he's doing, what is going on here? Joining me, retired police officer after 2 decades and an expert at analyzing crime scenes, Dr. Mike McCutcheon is with us, and retired police commander, host of the podcast, Gardens of Evil Inside the Zion Society Cult, which you need to download and listen to. Mike King is with us. The podcast is blowing up everywhere, and money's being raised for charity in that as well. So please, folks, download that. Great to have you both here. Mike, let me start with you. What is your gut telling you? What is the evidence telling you? Does this seem or look like or present? Oh, we have 2 mics. I'm sorry. Mike King. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Mike over here, Mike King over here. Strike you as a professional kidnapper?
You know, Vinny, I don't see.
Am I the only one who thinks Vinny seems stoned? Because he does seem stoned to me.
That I find myself waffling a little bit on this about whether it's professional or not. I mean, it appears that there's preparation. It appears that there's planning. I think a lot of fantasy involved, but the execution of the plan is where things start really falling apart, in my opinion. And we can't minimize the fact that the suspect comes hooded up. He comes wearing gloves. He comes using cover and concealment as he approaches the home. And to Cody's point earlier, the wonder about whether it could be a tooth reflecting or a flashlight, just before this video picks up in another clip of video, there's a clip of the suspect coming from the left-hand side as we're looking at the video, or from the gravel area of the yard onto the sidewalk, approaching the porch and that threshold area. And we see that flashlight come on for just a fraction of a second on the ground. I suspect, because it's pitch black, that's happening because he's unsure of his footing and whether there's a step he's going to trip on or something like that. But nonetheless, we have to accept the fact that it appears that he comes kind of suited up. I think, again, the fantasy, the preparation, the planning that's gone on to it, or into it, and the fact that he's using cover and concealment and coming in. But the moment he sees that camera, we see him go from this kind of organized state to disorganized. And we see him kind of turn, and you could just see the cogs in his brain twisting as he's looking to his left in that garden area next to the porch where the pot is for something that might work. He works his way out to the threshold. There at the threshold, he grabs those desert plants and brings them in with an attempt to somehow cover up that camera, and then it appears gets pretty frustrated and leaves. But bottom line in all of that is they were able to kidnap Mrs. Guthrie. And so at least they got away with that part of it. But hopefully things like this glove show us that the net's being cast wide enough that they're going to find information that'll bring him to justice.
Yeah, I'm shocked that he's surprised that there's a camera at the doorbell. I mean, go to I don't know what the percent is these days around the country, but it's extremely common. All right, Dr. Mike, let's pick up on the glove. Mike King is talking about that. Your thoughts about the glove being found 1.5 miles from the scene. And for purposes of this discussion, let's presume it's a match. Let's presume that it is, in fact, the glove worn by the suspect.
See, I wouldn't presume that at all, because it's so obvious. Like they said earlier, it just happened to show up right after the video footage. Where was the glove prior to that? Like, come on.
Suspect in the video. What does that tell you, if anything, about whether or not this looks like a professional kidnapper or not?
So I would say it sounds unique, but if I were planning this, having expertise, I looked at all of the things that someone who was planning this, who had experience, they wouldn't be doing. If they were going to get rid of evidence, it wouldn't be, I know 1.5 miles seems close. That's not very far, particularly if you have a missing person a mile and a half is not a far distance. You're not going to throw evidence out the window or within miles. You would keep it. It's not like you have to get rid of it. You have other evidence in the car, a person. So it's not like a robbery where you took something and then you're trying to get rid of evidence. So that shows me that it's very amateur. And the uniform that he's wearing, the clothes that he's wearing reflective gear. He's trying to work under the night and try to be a burglar to go in and not be seen. And he's wearing reflective gear. Again, poor planning. And I can tell you with great confidence, there's no military or police officer or anyone who has training with a weapon who is going to store their weapon in the front of their pants like that. It's
all right. Call me crazy, but I don't know. I just feel like these guys have gotten away with this for 12 days. I don't care how he had his gun. I don't care about his holster. They have gotten away with this for 12 days when every single agent, police department in that area, the FBI are on this case. They have not found one shred of evidence of the killers. of the kidnappers. So please tell me how they're not professionals. Please tell me how they're not, how they're sloppy. Sloppy, they would have been caught. Sloppy, you would have one inkling as to where they are, and you don't. The FBI has no idea who they are. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, that sounds quite professional. That sounds like people who know what they're doing, being able to get away with it this long with so many FBI and police on their tail, and media for that matter. Make it make sense.
Not even in a secure holster. It looks like it's kind of sagging down. That to me, again, tells me that it is not.
Now, if I'm kidnapping someone, I don't care about having a holster that fits because I want to be able to grab it quickly. I don't want something that I'm going to have to wrestle with and pull out. I want something that's easy access. Boom. So again, I just don't think these guys are thinking right.
Someone that's professional. So they're leaving evidence behind. And then the other piece is they took 40 minutes inside a house to try to kidnap an 84-year-old woman. And you were in there for 40 minutes. The longer you're in there, the more evidence that you have potential of leaving behind. He didn't cover his mouth, where if you have any type of saliva or anything coming out, you have DNA contamination. So all of those things, and with discarding that glove so close to the crime scene, I can't imagine that this had a lot of planning. I think it was like Mike said earlier, where it was kind of that fantasy, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to get a mask. I'm going to go up, and you have some planning, but certainly not a professional plan.
Yeah. The potted plant for the camera, Mike King.
Yeah.
That's nutty. That's like, it's almost childish at that point. You've got this huge backpack. You've got apparently a gun, but you don't have anything to handle a camera, like, oh, I don't know, a piece of tape.
Vinny, and I love what Dr. Mike said, because the idea of how he's approaching looks like he's really confident. He actually is pretty dang calm when things.
All right, his backpack is tied to him. In order to get something out of it, he would have to unhook it and take it off. So he's not going to have tape. Unless he had tape in his pocket, which he wouldn't have if he didn't realize there was a video camera. So Vinny's talking like he's going to whip off his backpack and pull out a piece of tape. That's not even logical. His backpack is secured on him. Maybe it had a bomb, but it's secured on him. So it's not like it was a loose backpack where you could just pull it out. It was pitch black. He couldn't see anything, which is probably why they never saw the camera in the first place. And he's not going to unhook the backpack to grab something out of it and then have to reattach it. So, Vinny, I have to argue that with you. I think you're wrong. Actually, I know you're wrong.
Things fall apart and he sees that camera on the door. But what I think is also kind of interesting, and Mike mentioned this, is the fact of this holster in the front. You can see him with his left hand, and if we were to take the location of that handle on the weapon, which appears to be a semi-automatic weapon, inside of what appears to be a revolver type holster, what he does is he's constantly.
Hey, we got a whole 8 people on the cell phone side. 8 people.
Fondling that thing with his left hand. So this is a guy who's not comfortable wearing a weapon. He's not used to wearing a weapon. He certainly isn't trained in wearing one in a duty kind of sense, like a police officer or a military officer. And if he is right-handed, which I think he is by the looks of the way things are happening, he's got this cross-draw kind of holster, and it all kind of fits with pop culture of the moving them, flaring the guns around and acting tough and everything else. It just really screams of nonverbal behavior.
All right, Dr. Mike and Mike are sticking around. We'll see them a little bit later in the show. Coming up next, is the FBI searching for evidence or a body?
We love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you.
The defendant repeatedly.
NC, a white female, 84 years of age, 5'2" medium build, powder blue, clean after 2,200 hours.
She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain.
Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy.
Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere.
So the Pima County Sheriff leading all of this, the investigation from the beginning, but doing the right thing and reaching out to the FBI to have them come in and have them help. And it seems like they are doing a lot in this investigation.
Am I right, though? He seems stoned, like literally.
Let's bring back in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas and ask him about what is the FBI saying?
Well, Vinny, they say they're searching, and clearly it's becoming this vast, extensive search because it's that search that led to them finding a glove resembling the glove worn by the potential suspect that we've seen in that black and white doorbell camera footage. But Vinny, of course, in the days since Nancy went missing, we've seen footage of this search in different places, including here on Nancy's property, where they are searching the septic system on the property, which is very interesting. You see them digging down in that manhole. It's unclear what they were exactly looking for or why they were looking there. But Vinny, that feels very specific to be searching a property septic and sewage system. And then, Vinny, on February 10th, we see here, over a week after Nancy's disappearance, as with any investigation, we see the FBI personnel knocking on doors, looking through the brush in the surrounding area. And they also had a chopper in the air. And Vinny, on the same day, a photographer caught a picture or caught an image of this FBI agent right here in a culvert, which is one of those, concrete structures you see under roads or railways and driveways that allows water to run underneath them. Again, don't know exactly what they're looking for in that culvert, why they were there. Again, seems very.
Personally, I think they were probably looking for Nancy down there. Hey, Kat.
Specific. Now, Vinny, here's also what the FBI said about the search in a statement. They said, this morning, numerous FBI agents are conducting an extensive search along multiple roadways in the Catalina Foothills area related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. We are asking the media and motorists to follow all traffic laws and to remain especially cautious when passing law enforcement personnel near the roadways. We appreciate the assistance and support we have received from the Tucson community. The FBI continues to offer a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie. And then, of course, Vinny, they gave the tip line. And Vinny, you know as well as I know, I was out there in the Tucson area in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. And again, it's not your typical subdivision. It's pretty vast. It's pretty expansive. You know, the houses sit on their own acreage. It's also kind of in the middle of the desert. It's what they call a dark sky community. There's no street lights on the roads by the houses. So, you know, their search has to be a little expansive here.
So there's no streetlights, the $1 million homes, and you're going to tell me that there's not any video footage of a car driving down the road at 2:30 in the morning? Nobody has cameras pointing at the street, only in their driveway, in an area that's affluent with no streetlights? I have a hard time believing that. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Here, Benny, a little intense to cover that whole Catalina Foothills area out there in Tucson.
All right, Cody's going to stick around. Thank you, Cody. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. It's about what's the goal here? What's the goal? Is the FBI searching for evidence or a body? Evidence or a body? Joining me now to talk about all this, host of the podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Tony Bruschi is here, and retired FBI Special Agent and Professor Kenneth Gray. Great to have you both here. Something else I've seen video from out there, I've seen them at the sister's house taking stuff out of the mailbox, like the mail, taking the mail out of the mailbox. So what are your thoughts here, Kenneth Gray? I'll start with you. What do you think the FBI is doing here? Are they searching for evidence here? Or are they searching for a body? Because, again, the allegation is that this was some sort of an abduction, potentially, ransom, potentially, but we just don't know.
Yeah, that's true, Vinny. Thanks for having me. I think that the Bureau has sufficient amount of manpower there right now that they've devoted to this case that they can do both. They are searching for both evidence and they're also searching for Nancy. Alive or dead, they're searching for Nancy. And so evidence may lead to Nancy, and also the search for that evidence may lead to a possible prosecution if they find the person responsible for her abduction.
Tony, the game changer was that video. You've got an image of a suspect, someone who obviously is up to no good in the middle of the night in front of Nancy's home. And then after that, the intensity is turned up in the search here. What are your thoughts tonight?
Yeah. I think you really have to watch what they're doing right now and not necessarily what they're saying. We're at day 11. The FBI has agents searching culverts, drainage washes, roadside brush, pull-offs between Nancy's home and the major routes out of Tucson. That's not how you look for a living hostage. And I still am holding out hope, and I know everyone is, and then we still need to do that. But what we're looking at here is probably a little combination of both going on, quite honestly. Evidence recovery operation or remain search, and the language is shifting to the FBI reward says recovery of Nancy Guthrie, not safe return, not rescue, recovery. The FBI doesn't usually do accidental phrasing. There's no continued communication between the family and the kidnappers. Ransom deadlines obviously have passed. The man they detained last night was released without charges. The warrant was executed. Doors were broken down. Vehicles were searched, and they came away with nothing. 18,000 tips and still no suspect and no Nancy. But the credit is where credit is due here. The hostage rescue team being deployed is good. Last night, disciplined law enforcement. You want to prepare for every variable, including the one where maybe you find her alive, and God, I hope we do. But being prepared for a variable and that variable being the likely outcome are two very different things. An 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker who needs daily medication to survive 11 days out, the math is brutal, and the FBI knows how to do the math. I think they're searching for both, but the ground activity tells you where the weight of this investigation has shifted.
Kenneth Gray, what are your thoughts about taking the mail from the daughter, Annie's home, straight from the mailbox, confiscating it? Is that, you think they're looking for communication from a kidnapper at that moment?
So I don't think they know exactly what they may find inside that mail, but so far
See, Chris McDouche needs to watch these people because, like, Vinny asks them a question and then they answer it. That's how it's done, Chris McDouche.
communications has not set up any specific route exchange of information between the kidnapper and the family. And so the kidnapper may try to establish a different means of communication, such as by mail. Mail would be safer than using email because email is much more traceable. Regular snail mail, a letter would be a lot more difficult to trace. But there may be other communications that may be passed to them. I don't know all the details of this investigation, so I can't say what else might be in that mailbox that they might be looking for. But I definitely think that one possibility would be the kidnapper trying to establish a different means of communication.
All right. Tony Bruschi, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Incredible coverage of this and a lot of other true crime stories. Check it out, folks. Kenneth Gray's going to stick around. Still to come. Does the family know more than they're letting on? Old woman, bloodstains outside the house, and mysterious ransom notes. Here's the story. In the quiet Catalina foothills community outside of Tucson, the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, specific details of quite some time. Savannah Guthrie, when she was in high school, her dad passed away and her mom was there. Her mom was the rock of that family for so many years. Let's bring in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. Cody, how many times have we heard from the family now?
Well, Vinny, the Guthrie family, Savannah and her siblings have posted video messages to social media 4 times. Now, early on in those early videos, the first and second videos, we heard them address their mother pleading for her to come home and also addressing the possible kidnapper or kidnappers. Take a listen to this.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny, spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances.
She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
Now, Vinny, in the next video, Savannah came out and more directly stated that her and her siblings are willing to pay this alleged ransom. Take a listen to this.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
And most recently, Vinny, Savannah posted to her Instagram this video where she mentions the family going into an hour of desperation. Take a listen.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
And Vinny, you know, the thing is, even with these 4 videos, we've heard so many different things about ransom notes. We've seen the family here address the possible kidnapper or kidnappers. The ransom note deadline that was demanding those millions of Bitcoin has passed. But among all of that, still no sign of Nancy Guthrie.
It's really unreal. And watching those consecutively, you get a much better feeling for the way the family is reacting in those moments. Cody, thanks so much. It brings us to the next.
I'm telling you guys, he's smoking.
Question in our investigation, and I think this is another one that is important, especially because you never know what the communication is between the family and law enforcement. Does the family know more than they're letting on? Do they have more information that is the basis for these statements, things that have not been made public, that they have not shared with the public? Still with me, retired police officer Dr. Mike McCutcheon, and joining me, host of Surviving the Survivor podcast, Joel Waldman is here. Joel, I'll start with you. Your thoughts about the family, like from watching the videos that Savannah and her siblings have done, are you reading between the lines that they may know something that's not public and is the basis for what they're saying and how they're saying it?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Vinny. And I just want to say, you know, I met my wife. We were both reporters at KGUN 9 in Tucson, and I know this community intimately. I know a lot of people there, people on the ground, and it has absolutely gripped them, and they are devastated. I mean, I've never seen a story like this, I don't think, in my entire 30-year career. With that said, you know, there's going to be tons of scrutiny on the family, and there have been these return trips by both the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's deputies, specifically to Annie Guthrie's house. But keep in mind, Savannah lives in New York. Cameron, as I understand it, the brother, lives in Vermont, so they're not going to their house. And I think it's really important because it's come up on Surviving the Survivor, my show. You know, people tend to point the finger.
Amber, don't you watch that? Or Sly, one of you guys watch that?
And we have to listen to law enforcement right now, and they are saying very publicly they have no suspects, no persons of interest. And I've got to think, Vinny, that if Annie or her husband or partner, whatever he is specifically, if they were complicit in this in any way, and of course that Pandora's box was opened by a friend of ours doing some reporting, I would think that by now, and I've had other law enforcement officials tell me this, that this far in, 11 days in, that'd be a very difficult secret to hold on to. And I believe that, they would have cracked. So I think we're looking outside the circle. Nothing would surprise me. The one thing I learned from doing true crime and speaking to amazing, brilliant investigators is you've got to keep all options on the table and can't rule people out until you can rule them out, Vinny.
Dr. Mike McCutcheon, let me ask you, do you think that law enforcement is sharing more with the family, or the family has any more information, or that the family knows things here more so than they're letting on based upon what we're hearing from them?
Well, I think there's two things to look at. When we say the family, there's individuals within that family. So there may actually be different communication with law enforcement with different members of the family. Now, I don't know that that's the case, but if they did have a suspect or they had a suspicion that one of the family members were involved, maybe they shared different information. Now, again, that's all speculation. Now, when something like this happens, the family is going to have somebody from the FBI, I'll call him a handler, that's going to help them do those communication videos so that they're not saying the wrong thing and that they're saying a message that can be received by the suspected kidnappers. So they're going to have a very close relationship with the law enforcement. Now, whether they're holding something or not, you have to look at if it is intentional or they just don't know. When I'm doing an interview with a victim, you really have to say, everything is important. You may not think it is important, but I need to know everything. And that's the job of the investigator. That's the job of the interviewers, to find there has to be a thread. I don't believe that this was a random case. So there has to be that first thread that's going to connect Nancy to the kidnapper. And that could be a third party. Maybe it's a caretaker who mentions to a brother-in-law who then comes up with the plan. But there has to be a connection here. And they may hold that key without knowing that they hold that key. They may not have shared that they talked to a new maintenance worker or someone who fixed a window or whatever the case may be. And so they may not be intentionally withholding information, but there is that thread. This is not something random, and that's what they have to find. And that's the job of the investigator, to try to extract that information from the family.
Joel Waldman, do you feel like they've turned the corner here and the momentum is picking up and we're going to get some real news soon?
I mean, I sure hope so, Vinny. Last night, and I know you know this, covering it was absolutely bonkers. I did a 4.5 hour.
Here's a question, though. How long you think they're going to do it for? Because it's going to come to a point where they're going to realize she's gone. Any guesses on how long you think they're going to keep this going? Because I say they probably go another couple of days and then they're going to call it quits. I don't know why I think that way. I just do.
Live stream, because we just kept getting bits and pieces of news coming out every second. Today, a much quieter day. And, there's divided opinion on this amongst investigators who I've talked to. Some who think they've hit a wall, others who believe that they're just obviously keeping everything, very tight to the vest. From a media perspective, I'll tell you, it has been a bit of a disaster. I know Sheriff Chris Nanos, his intentions are good, but they, obviously gave these daily press briefings and then just stopped them completely cold. They're not using their PIOs, their public information officers, to disseminate any information. And that's making it tough because now people are guessing or hypothesizing, well, maybe this family member has something to do with it, or maybe that person has something to do with it. And obviously the investigation is front and center, and they've got to keep the integrity of that intact. But maybe in a case that is this high profile, they've got to give a little information, if just to quell the public, thirst and hunger for this. That part of it has been an unmitigated disaster, but I do hope we get a resolution soon.
All right. Big thanks, Dr. Mike McCutcheon, Joel Waldman, surviving the survivor. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Business partners.
This one in tons of tips. What do we know about them?
Well, yeah, Benny, we know at least one tip led the FBI to a specific person, a man who says that the FBI detained and questioned him. Now, here he is, Vinny. He told reporters that his name is Carlos Pal.
Oh, that's where they got his information. See, Chris McDonough is such a fucking idiot. He's like, oh, they had to have information in order to question the guy. No, it came in from a tip. He's so stupid.
His house is in Rio Rico.
Work tonight. Thank you so much. Brings us to the final question in our investigation this hour. How will law enforcement handle the tens of thousands of tips? Still with me, retired police commander Mike King and retired FBI special agent Kenneth Gray. Why are you guys retired and I'm still working? Why is that? Well, okay. Kenneth, I'll begin with you. Tens of thousands of tips are coming in. How do you even manage them?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, especially in a high-profile case like this. The Bureau has a command post set up. That command post has agents. It has analysts. It has support. Somebody gives information and says the person is in Chicago. The Bureau will send a lead to an agent in Chicago to go and run down that lead.
Mike King, this is such a massive story, and it's generating a lot of information, which is what you need and hope. But it's a lot to manage.
You're not a kidding, and I really appreciated that baseline, because what I've learned before retirement, Vinny, was as we work those major kinds of crimes, one of the things we try to do is also look at it geographically and look at the social media that's coming in from a geographic perspective, the tips where they're coming in from, and be able to kind of coalesce all that and grade it and decide what really should be prioritized so that the agents, with probably pretty limited bandwidth right now, can take the most important things. The Bureau is also using some really cool artificial intelligence right now to help.
All right, I'm bored with that. So at the end of this, there's nothing new. Nothing has changed. They are not any closer than they were yesterday, according to the public. And I feel like everyone's dumbing it down. That's what I feel like. I have yet to find. Well, that first dude on Vinny, he was pretty good. But I just feel like everyone is dumbing it down. And it's just fluff, fluff, fluff. I don't like fluff. I get very bored with fluff. So I am going to, oh my God, I've been on 3.5 hours. All right, I'm going to end this stream. And I want to thank you guys for being here. This dual streaming is not working for me at all. 4 people. The highest was like 8. So either YouTube is not putting me in the algorithm or people are seeing 4 people and nobody wants to chat. So I have a month of StreamYards. I mean, I paid for it, but I'm going to cancel it because it's just not worth it. But I'll give it a couple of times and we'll see what happens. And then we'll go back to normal streaming. But yeah, it's too hard because you can't even see chat or anything. Like I can see chat, but you guys can't. So, and I don't like the way it's not a full screen. Like it doesn't automatically adapt. I don't like that. But I might go live again later just to test a couple things. I don't know yet. But I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Thank you guys for some of you guys sticking it out the whole time. I appreciate it. I don't know why my numbers have failed so much lately, but this is like really bad. And I don't even think this has to do with like OCPS or anything. Like someone's spreading some shit. Like, I don't know why my numbers are really this bad. My numbers weren't this bad after CPS came out. Like, seriously. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but we got to figure it out, and quick. So I will see you guys later. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on your way out. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button. CK, suck my fucking dick. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Peace.